loneliness disguised as connection. He does not judge it, nor does he try to fix it. He simply sees, and in seeing, he is free. A man who walks alone does not cling to things, not because he despises them, but because he understands their nature. Everything comes and goes. Relationships, possessions, even the body itself. To hold on to something as if it were permanent is to invite suffering. And so he lets things pass through him as the wind passes through the trees, touching but never trapping. He experiences everything deeply but does not chain himself to anything. There is a quiet strength in this. Most mistake it for detachment, for coldness, but it is neither. It is simply the knowing that nothing can truly be possessed. Not people, not moments, not even oneself. He does not waste energy trying to hold on to what must inevitably change. Instead, he meets everything with open hands, allowing the world to flow as it must, without resistance. He walks, not because he is searching, but because he is already found. His steps are neither hurried nor hesitant. He does not look behind him, nor does he strain his eyes towards the horizon. He moves with the knowledge that there is nowhere to arrive, that every step is already the destination. And in that knowing there is peace. The man who walks alone does not fear the road ahead, nor does he dwell on the path behind. He moves as the river moves, without hesitation, without regret. There is no one calling his name, no voices telling him where to go, no hands pulling him back. He is untethered, drifting between worlds, belonging to none. And yet in his solitude, he is more connected than those who surround themselves with endless distractions. He has learnt that true companionship is not found in mere proximity, but in the deep understanding of existence itself. To be alone is not to be abandoned. It is not to be lost, nor is it to suffer. The man who walks alone has seen that most people are never truly with themselves, even when they are surrounded by others. They cling to conversations, to relationships, to identities, hoping these things will shield them from the great silence that lingers beneath it all. But the silence is not an enemy. It is a teacher, a mirror, a doorway. To embrace it is to step into something vast, something beyond the small self that most spend their lives protecting. There is no rush in his steps, no urgency in his movements. He does not walk as one escaping, nor does he carry the weight of longing. He simply moves, responding to the moment as it unfolds.
In the case of a small operation on his own beloved wife or child, he hesitates, not for our possession. If we understand this,
Ladies and gentlemen, do you ever notice the voice inside your head? The endless chatter, the constant dialogue, the inner narrator that never seems to be silent. You talk to yourself more than you talk to anyone else. Yet, have you ever stopped to ask, who is doing the talking and who is doing the listening? The mind is a restless thing. It moves from one thought to another, jumping between memories of the past and worries about the future, rarely stopping to just be. yet, most people never question it. They assume that this constant stream of thought is who they are. But if you are the one speaking in your mind, then who is the one hearing it? This is where things become interesting. Because the moment you step back and observe your own thinking, you realize something profound. Your thoughts are not you. They appear and disappear like clouds in the sky, forming patterns, telling stories, creating illusions. One moment your mind tells you that you are brilliant, that you can do anything. The next, it whispers doubt, convinces you that you are not enough, that something is missing. It contradicts itself constantly, and yet you believe it every time. But if you are the one observing these thoughts, then clearly you are not them. You are something deeper, something untouched by the endless noise of the mind. You are the awareness that watches it all happen, the stillness beneath the turbulence, the vast open sky beyond the shifting clouds. The problem is most people never discover this. They are so caught in the stories of their own thinking that they never realize they are merely characters in a play written by their own mind. They live trapped in an illusion, believing every fear, every insecurity, every fleeting judgment as if it were absolute truth. And because of this, they suffer, not because reality is cruel, but because they are prisoners of a voice that never stops speaking. But what happens when you stop identifying with the voice? What happens when you see it for what it is, just noise, just movement, just patterns of thought with no real authority over you? A great silence emerges. A space opens up, one that was always there but hidden beneath the constant mental chatter. And in that space, there is freedom. This is not about suppressing thought or forcing the mind to be silent. That is just another trick of the voice, another way it tries to stay in control. No, the key is simply to watch, to listen, to let thought come and go without being dragged into it. To recognize that you do not have to believe everything your mind tells you. And in this realization, something incredible happens. The mind, no longer being fought against, begins to quiet on its own. The gaps between thoughts grow larger, awareness expands, and suddenly the world is seen not through the filter of an overactive mind, but as it truly is. Vibrant, alive, endlessly unfolding in the present moment. So the next time you catch yourself lost in thought, ask yourself, who is speaking? And more importantly, who is listening? Because the moment you see that you are not your thoughts, but the vast awareness behind them, you step into a freedom beyond anything the mind could ever imagine. The mind is an endless stream of words, a constant murmur that fills every waking moment. From the instant we wake up, before even opening our eyes, it begins. Thoughts about the day ahead, reflections on the past, worries, plans, and random fragments of conversations. This inner dialogue never stops. It narrates our lives as if we are characters in a story being told by an unseen narrator. We talk to ourselves in many ways. Sometimes it's direct, like reminding ourselves not to forget something or rehearsing a conversation before it happens.
An introspective version of being on.
It was retarded.
What do you mean? You were listening to it through?
He's gone. He's gone.
were told that you were going to be given half an hour's interview with God, and you had the privilege of asking one question, I wonder what you would ask. You might be given some preparation too, because when you think, what is your ultimate question, you will probably do many things before you arrive at it. And I know many people would discover that they had no question to ask. The situation would be altogether too overwhelming. But many people to whom I've put this problem say that the question that they would ask is, who am I? And that is something we know very little about, because whatever it is that we call I is too close for inspection. It's like trying to bite your own teeth, or to touch the tip of your finger with the tip of the same finger. And although other people can tell you who you are and do, they only see you from the outside, as you see them from the outside. You don't see from the inside. And so the nature of what it is that we call I is extremely puzzling, because there is some confusion as to how much of us is I. We talk in ordinary ways about my body, my feet, and when we go to the dentist to have our teeth fixed, we regard him rather as a mechanic. Like you take your car to the garage, so you take your body to the surgeon or the dentist or whatever it is to be fixed, have the parts changed or something of that kind. And they're really getting to work on that now. And so the question is, when somebody has a heart transplant, that sounds very radical, because we say, in my heart of hearts. But nowadays, most of us seem to feel that whatever it is that I is located in the head. Somewhere behind the eyes and between the ears is the center. And the rest of us is an appendage, a vehicle, which carries the self around. Now, popular speech also reflects the sensation that I am very different from what we call the other. Other people, other things, anything that we can become aware of is sort of other. There is an opposition, apparently, between the knower and the known. And so we talk about facing reality. We talk about coming into this world as if somehow we didn't belong. As if instead of being leaves growing out of a tree, we were a lot of birds that had alighted on bare branches. And it has become common sense for most people living in the 20th century today to adopt the 19th century philosophy of science, which interprets the physical universe outside human bodies as being a mechanical contraption, which is essentially stupid, unfeeling, automatic, composed of mainly geological elements, rocks, gases, and so forth. And therefore we feel rather alone and left out of this thing, in contrast with the ideas of Ptolemaic astronomy. Instead of being at the center of the universe, we are on the outer limits of a minor galaxy, revolving around an unimportant star on a small, minute ball of rock. And therefore, that astronomical way of looking at things is simply overwhelming. It makes us feel not only of no importance, but also very much left out. And as a result, that is the common sense of most people living today. We did, of course, have a religious view of our nature, that we were the children of a loving God who is in charge of this whole operation. But very few people actually believe that anymore. A great many people think they ought to believe in it, would like to believe in it, but they don't. Most ministers that I know don't believe it, but they feel guilty about this because they feel they ought to. But it became implausible. There never was a serious argument against it. It simply became unthinkable in comparison with the dimensions of the universe as we now see it. So having lost a way of looking at the world, an image of the world which gave us some sense of meaning, we now have an image of the world which gives us none at all. And so we feel rather inclined to put up a fight against the whole show. Interestingly enough, when in the 19th century we switched our common sense from supernaturalism to naturalism, one would think that a naturalist would be a person who loved nature, just as a materialist ought to be a person who loves material, but certainly isn't. With what is called the philosophy of scientific naturalism, naturalism is used in a negative way. It has nothing to do with being natural. It has something to do with being not supernatural, merely natural. And all sorts of phrases were coined in that epoch, which I would call put-down phrases. Freud spoke of the basic psychic energy as libido, which means blind lust. People like Ernst Haeckel spoke of the universe as being a manifestation of blind energy. Think of that put-down word, blind. And therefore we also speak of unconscious mental mechanisms. And the very word unconscious, as being the deeper aspect of our psyche, is a negative word and a put-down word. So as to say, what you are functioning as a rational ego with values and with a capacity to love is simply the epiphenomenon of a purely mechanical process. Too bad. So as a result of this so-called naturalism, we began to put up the most whopping fight against nature that was ever engaged in. And that fight is an expression of our fury and of our feeling of being left out. So that the technological experiment, which became possible as a result of the mechanical sciences, has largely been conducted in a spirit of rage. And the results are evident all around us. Here in Palm Springs, you are gradually getting all the smog from Los Angeles. This great cloud of poisonous gas put up by a city which is exemplary in this whole civilized world for fouling its own nest. Perhaps only Calcutta could be a bit worse. Some such terrible slum. But we have done it by technology, by ruthless beating about of nature without consideration for what the scientist would call our ecology. Ecology is that aspect of science which deals with the relationship between organisms and their environments. Ecology is the study of the balance of nature, of the way in which every living being depends upon innumerable other living beings of all species, and also upon inanimate forces, air, water, temperature, gases, vegetation, and all sorts of things. And this is one of the most important sciences that we can possibly study today. Because we are in a position where we realize that we cannot help interfering with the world. To be alive is to interfere. You must interfere. You cannot go back and say, hands off nature, let's leave it all alone. Because you're stuck with it. Especially once you've started to interfere in a major way. We have so altered our environment that there is no hope for it but to go ahead. But we can, to some extent, change direction. But the only way that I can see of our effectively changing direction is through a transformation of the feeling that we have of our own existence and of what we mean by I. The reason for this is simply that all kinds of intelligent and even powerful people, like, say, Lawrence Rockefeller, who are interested in ecology and in conservation of our natural resources, they can scream their heads off, but nobody pays any attention. There is as yet, no really serious program at the government level to do anything radical about the pollution of water, the waste of water, the pollution of air, and the general ravaging of the United States of America. I am amazed that congressmen can pass a bill imposing severe penalties on anyone who burns the American flag, whereas they are responsible for burning that for which the flag stands, the United States as a territory, as a people, and as a biological manifestation. That is an example of our perennial confusion of symbols with realities, which is, in a way, at the heart of the trouble, because what we think of as I is much more a symbol than it is a reality. The living organism, the whole mind-body, is much more than anything we mean by I. I largely stands for your personality, your role in life. And the very word person, as you probably know, comes from the Latin persona, a word originally used for the mask worn by actors in Greco-Roman drama. That through which sound comes because the mask had a megaphonic mouth to carry the voice in open-air theaters. So when you speak of being a real person, it really means being a genuine fake.
Ahora, con el nuevo spice mix de Tosteco para tamales rojos, preparar ese rico chile rojo tradicional que se agrega a la carne de puerco para unos sabrosos tamales. Es fácil de hacer. Y recuerda, con Tosteco, simplifique el proceso, saborea la tradición.
Because the personality is only the front. What is behind it? Well, of course, the organism is behind it. The whole organism. And we must be very careful not to confuse the organism with various symbols that we have for it, because those symbols can be extremely misleading. If we say the organism is the body, what we usually mean by the body is an impoverished meaning. When we speak of my body, that is to say my vehicle, my physical automobile, that is an unenriched meaning of the word body. Because what you really are as a body, as a living organism, is not some sort of separate existence coated by a skin which divides you from the rest of the world. Shakespeare has King John saying to Hubert, "Within this wall of flesh there is a soul, counts thee her creditor." Within this wall of flesh, the skin considered as a barrier, when actually, from a biological point of view, the human skin and all skins are osmotic membranes. You know, when you get something by osmosis, by sort of soaking it in. So in the same way, one's skin is a spongy construction, full of holes, full of communicators, nerve ends. And your skin is simply a vibrating membrane through which the so-called external world flows into you and through you. So that you yourself actually are not so much an entity that moves around in an environment. You are much more like a whirlpool in a stream. And as you know, the whirlpool is constant only in its doing, that is to say, in its whirling. And you can recognize individual whirligigs in a stream. But the water is flowing through them all the time. They are never the same, but for a second. And so it is also with us. Or imagine it in another way. Supposing you have a rope, and 1 foot of the rope is made of hemp. 1 foot of it is made of cotton. 1 foot of it is made of silk. 1 foot of it is made of nylon, and so on. Now tie a simple knot in the rope. Now move the knot along the rope. And 1 minute it will be hemp, the next cotton, next silk, next nylon, and so on. Same knot. It will be recognizable as a continuing knot, as that knot, the knot in that rope. But the constitution of it will change as it moves. And so our constitution is changing constantly. Imagine, for example, a university. The student body, undergraduate, changes every 4 years. The faculty changes every so often. The buildings keep changing more and more. What constitutes the University of California? It certainly isn't the faculty, it isn't the students, it isn't the governors, it isn't the administration, it isn't the buildings. What is it? Why, a doing, a behavior, a universitying process of study and experiment and so on. So it is exactly the same with you. You flow. You are a process. But how do we draw the line about this process and its relationship to all other processes? We find that a very difficult thing to do the more you think about it. If you really felt with your whole organism, instead of just with that part of it called conscious attention, you would become aware of this flowing fact. And you would get a very strange feeling, which at first might frighten you. It is possible, of course, to have this feeling. But the feeling is like this. You would not be quite sure how to interpret it. You might feel that you yourself were doing everything else that's happening. That would be one way of feeling. The other way of feeling it would be that you are doing nothing at all, but that everything else is doing you. And you would feel completely passive, like a puppet on the end of strings. Although, on the other hand, if you got the feeling that you are doing it all, you would feel like God Almighty. It is very easy for our consciousness to slip into this state of sensation. It can happen spontaneously, like measles. It can happen by training, as when someone practices yoga. It can happen chemically, as when certain drugs are taken. And one has to be very careful about this feeling because it's enormously easy to misinterpret it. Either as being omnipotent, being God in the personal, literal sense, or as being helpless and merely driven. Now, what should be understood is that both these ways of feeling are right, only they must both be taken together. To be simultaneously omnipotent and helpless. These are two poles, opposite poles of one and the same state. Because the message that is coming through, and that we find difficulty in understanding because it's contrary to our common sense, contrary to our whole history and conditioning, the message that's coming through is you as a living organism and all that is going on in your environment constitute a single process. What in physics we would call a unified field. A single process, like a pattern, but you know, any pattern has all sorts of subsidiary wiggles in it. Like the organism itself is a unified pattern, but it's full of wiggles. All sorts of tubes and organs and bones and nerves and so on. Working in this way. You know the body doesn't have a boss. we could pitch a big argument. Who is really the top dog in your body, your stomach or your brain? I can argue for both ways. Well, let's first argue for the stomach. The stomach is fundamental. That's what eats, and eating is the fundamental thing of being alive. By putting food into the stomach, it digests it, and from there it goes out and energizes everything else. Obviously, the stomach is the most important. The hands, the mouth, the feet, all exist to serve the stomach, and naturally, as a final achievement of the stomach, is the brain, evolving later in the evolutionary process as a gadget up there to scavenge around and find stuff for the stomach to eat. That's the function of the brain. But now let's take the argument from the side of the brain. The brain says, oh, no, come now. Just because I arrived late doesn't mean that I'm unimportant. I was being gotten ready for. Because I am the thing that was the flower at the top of this thing. And this tube with stomachs in it and things below was preparing for me, and the stomach is my servant. It is doing all the dirty work, getting energy to put currents through my wonderful circuits, so that by the creation of all the goods of the mind, of the arts and sciences and religion and philosophy and so on, I shall be the true head of man. Well, both arguments are right. Because you have a relationship between stomach and brain, which is a sort of polarity. The one exists for the other. It's like when you prop up two sticks against each other, they will stand up so long as they lean on each other. Take one away and the other collapses. So chop off the head and the stomach is finished. Take out the stomach and the head is finished. So this is the way all organic life proceeds. It's different with mechanical life. Because the mechanism must invariably have a boss, the man who puts the machine together, the person who constructs the computer, who designs it, who asks it questions, who programs it. He is the boss. But organisms don't have bosses. They are essentially, I would say, democratic arrangements, where somehow in a marvelous way, an enormous company of cells are working together. But that isn't the way. The body wasn't sort of one day a lot of cells all crept together and said we're a body. That does sometimes happen in the biological domain, but much rather this, when you watch the gestation of a mammal, you see first of all a very simple little organism which swells. And as it swells, it becomes more and more complicated from within. No parts are added, nothing is screwed on. There's no welding done or anything like that. It bulges. And of course, it does absorb material, but it transforms it. But all of it works together at once, like the legs of a centipede. Like you work all together at once. For you see, when we come down to it, you think you decide things, but you don't know how you do it. How do you open and close your hand? You can decide, I will now open my hand and do it, but you don't know how it's done. And yet, in a sense, you do know how it's done, because I say, I know how to open my hand. But you don't know in words. You can't explain it. Still less can you explain how you see. Still less can you explain how you are conscious. How are you an ego? Well, you don't know. Because the springs of being conscious, of being an ego, are outside the surveillance of consciousness. They're somehow underneath. And that lets the cat out of the bag at once. Because you see that what is I is something very, very much deeper than the superficial consciousness. And what you call I in the sense of the voluntary willing center, ego, has very little to do with it. You are just a watchman on top of the mast, or a radar on a ship that is scanning the environment by conscious attention, looking out for trouble, or looking for food. The real you complicated to think about. Supposing when you woke up in the morning, you had to switch yourself on. That is to say, you had to, by an act of conscious attention, to go through your brain and turn on all the synapses necessary for wakeful life. It'd take you hours. Supposing you really had to be conscious of all the details involved in walking, or in breathing, or in circulation of the blood, you'd never get around to it. So you see, when we inspect the physical world with conscious attention, the first thing that strikes us is that the physical world is extraordinarily complicated. How can it possibly be organized? But actually, the physical world is not complicated at all. What is complicated is the task of trying to describe it in words, or of trying to figure it out in numbers. Because that is analogous to the task of, say, removing the water from the Pacific Ocean into the Atlantic with a beer mug. We can only take one mug at a time. And so we say in popular speech, you can only think of one thing at a time. That's not exactly true, but what it reveals is that thinking, that conscious thought, is a kind of calculus in which we understand things bit by bit. And it leads us into the superstition that things really are bits. Now, when you eat chicken, of course, you have to bite it, and you take it in bits. And to make it easier to bite, you order from the grocer a cut-up fryer. But you don't get cut-up fryers out of eggs. Because you see, although we can speak of a chicken, an egg, or a body, it is not actually a bit. It hasn't been bitten off, except for purposes of thinking. Now, this is beautifully brought out in a passage from Whitehead, which I will read to you. He's discussing the 19th century philosophy of science, which I was just discussing too. And he's saying in this philosophy, all our impressions of nature are simply products of our minds. Nature gets credit which should in truth be reserved for ourselves. The rose for its scent, the nightingale for his song, and the sun for his radiance. The poets are entirely mistaken. They should address their lyrics to themselves and should turn them into odes of self-congratulation on the excellency of the human mind. Nature is a dull affair, soundless, scentless, colorless, merely the hurrying of material endlessly, meaninglessly. However you disguise it, this is the practical outcome of the characteristic scientific philosophy which closed even the 17th century. In the first place, we must note its astounding efficiency as a system of concepts for the organization of scientific research. In this respect, it is fully worthy of the genius of the century which produced it. It has held its own as the guiding principle of scientific studies ever since. It is still reigning. Every university in the world organizes itself in accordance with it. No alternative system of organizing the pursuit of scientific truth has been suggested. It is not only reigning, but it is without a rival. And yet, it is quite unbelievable. This conception of the universe is surely framed in terms of high abstractions, and the paradox only arises because we have mistaken our abstractions for concrete realities. He calls that, you see, the fallacy of misplaced concreteness. The attribution, in other words, to our bitty way of thinking, to the world which we are biting. That is misplaced concreteness. The separations between things are abstract. They are concepts. In the same way, for example, as lines of latitude and longitude are concepts, even though a Russian poet has recently made a beautiful poem about the world being like a ball carried in a net bag. But you never expect to trip over the equator when you cross it. And although it is something quite abstract and does not exist in nature, it's extremely useful for purposes of navigation. So in the same way, bitting and having words to describe particular events or particular wiggles in the universal pattern are very useful. But they are very dangerous when you confuse things with natural events. Because then you get into this sort of trouble. The trouble of the sorcerer. The surgeon, who is too much of a specialist in one organ, runs into that organ and alters it and does what he considers a better mechanical job than the Lord did. But then he discovers to his dismay, and the even greater dismay of his patient, that the operation has unforeseen consequences in some other part of the organism, because he didn't realize the connection. When likewise we object to certain insect pests, oh, we say, get rid of them. DDT. And so, but then we found we got rid of something else we didn't want to get rid of. And worse still, that this insect that we didn't like was doing a job for us in some manner of which we weren't aware, and we only become aware of it, and suddenly we find ourselves covered with another kind of fly altogether, or with some sort of bacteria which this insect kept down. Watch it, watch it, watch it, because nature does not consist of separate things which you can just pull out like parts from an engine. Take the case of bees and flowers. Oh, we always use the bees and flowers to explain fundamental things about life. But we're going to go deeper than sex this time. Fascinating thing about bees and flowers is they're very different looking things. A flower sits still and blooms, and it smells, or stinks to be correct. The bee moves about and buzzes, but they're all one organism. You don't find flowers without bees. You don't find bees without flowers. They are just as much one as your head and your feet, which also look very different. So in that sense, you see, we are one with the incredible complexity of processes and wiggles upon which we depend. Although to say upon which we depend is not quite accurate, because that separates us from it, as if I were hanging onto a beam and depending on it. It isn't like that. You don't depend on it, because it depends on you. It's a mutual arrangement. And it isn't that one bit of this sort of came first. Although that sometimes happens. But it's always there in potentiality. What came later. But it's rather in the same way that when a flower opens, you see all the different petals extending simultaneously. Especially when you watch a fast motion movie of a flower opening. And so in the same way, there is a simultaneous arrival or evolution of the human organism and the human environment. And thus, biologists speak about the evolution of an environment as well as the evolution of an organism in it. In other words, the human beings could not have appeared on this planet until its temperature had lowered to a certain degree, until the atmosphere contained certain gases as a result of vegetative development. And then the environment became evolved enough for human beings to appear in it. Evolved enough, I'll say something further, intelligent enough for the appearance in it of intelligent beings. For your environment is intelligent. Otherwise you couldn't be. You see, as Jesus said, you don't gather figs off thistles or grapes from thorns.
The bus boycott.
You won't get pears off an apple tree.
281 days from December 5th,
You won't find people
to December 20th,
except on a people tree.
1956.
And this planet, this solar system, this galaxy is peopling in exactly the same way that an apple tree apples. Put our existence into verb language as distinct from noun language, and you're much closer to the point. You see, nouns have the difficulty of designating things. Verbs designate process. Now, everything is a process, really. When we speak of housing for houses, matting for mats, we're getting there. The Nuka Indians have a language in which there are no nouns. So they say, it houses, and then they add an adverb to show whether it houses religiously, homily, or marketingly. And so they see the world as the flow. What is it that houses? What is it that rains when we say it is raining? You see, we always have a funny idea that to get a verb, that is to say to get action, you have to have an agent. Now, this is the most ridiculous idea conceivable. How can a noun start a verb? How can a thing start an event? Because there's no action in a thing. Action can only come from action. Energy from energy. You can't get energy from a concept, because nouns are all concepts. They're abstract, really. It's only verbs that are concrete, because the world is process. Now, common sense insists that the pattern of the world must be made of something, because we still think with Aristotle's common sense, or with the imagery of the book of Genesis, where God made Adam out of the clay. In other words, he made a clay figurine and breathed breath into it, and it became alive. And so we constantly think that we are made of flesh, as if flesh was some sort of stuff like clay and out of which you shape bodies, or like you make tables out of wood. Are trees made out of wood? What a ridiculous question. Trees are wood. They're not made of wood. And it's simply this artifact thing that gives us the idea of the world being made out of something. It isn't made out of anything. And so when physics tries to investigate what is the stuff of matter, they can't find any. Because you can never talk about anything except a process. You can describe what a process is doing. You can describe the structure, the nature of the dance, whether it's doing a waltz or a mazurka or the frog, or whatever it is. Then you can describe that melody, shall we say, what it is performing. But there is nothing doing the performing at all. And there is no stuff out of which it's being done, because when you examine stuff, you just find more pattern. See, what you mean by stuff is fuzz. When you look at something with a lens and you're out of focus, you see fuzz. But when you come into focus, you see structure. All right, now, the structure is made of all sorts of little lines and things. You can see them, you want to know what are they made of. So you turn up the magnification, and for a while you get a lot of fuzz, but when you're clear again, you see that those little lines are also made of more little lines, more structure. The big patterns have little patterns upon their backs, the Bible and so on. And that's the way it goes. So, suddenly you feel rather insecure, because stuff has disappeared. There's a famous story about a physicist who understood this so well that he always went about in the most enormous padded shoes. because he was afraid of falling through the floor. Now look what's happened. Just look and see what's happened to us. If we go through everything that I've been saying, we find, first of all, that the thing that we thought was I is nothing more than a social institution. Just like the equator, or an inch. And to mistake it, to reify it, as Whitehead would say, is the fallacy of misplaced concreteness. It's strictly a hallucination. And any certain amount of psychological self-exploration shows this to be the case. For what we are is the organism. And what the organism is a transactional interchange between the organism and the environment. It's not quite correct to say you're doing it and it's doing you. Because, see, Whitehead, in describing the scientific philosophy, saying, for example, that blue is entirely our projection on the sky, he's half right, you see. Those scientists he's talking about are half right. But the part of it that is left out of consideration is this. True, you, with your optical nerves and eyes, transform the sky into the blue feeling. But without the sky, you wouldn't have any optical nerves. It works both ways, you see. Without the air, whose density gives the blue effect. It's mutual. You do it, and it does you. But that's, as I said, a two-way, a clumsy way of talking about. It's all one process, a unified process. And furthermore, from this process there has disappeared what we thought was solidity, what we thought was common sense, substance, and stuff. It's just pattern. And at once one feels sort of ghostly, as if you could be easily blown away. And that's why
they're just fat.
It's a beautiful day. Damn it.
It's fucking freezing again here. Like frigid.
It's like 72 degrees. You know, I've got a cotton field behind.
Sociological derivative of the Assyrians.
No, I don't think it was unrelated. I'm pretty sure that the name was Assyrians, but like as the Greeks understood it in the translation, they thought they thought simply meant like a person from. So Assyrian to them translated as person from Syria.
So you're answering something I didn't say. What I meant unrelated was that the people of Syria are not necessarily related to.
Yeah, he was accidentally modded in a room because someone thought he was the other one. I was laughing so hard this morning.
Is Yaakov here? I mean, I kind of like Yaakov. I know.
Would argue, and I just remember many people in the diaspora using it quite a lot during the invasion of Ukraine. So I want to probably say it came online at the end of 2022, because a lot of people left this platform, moved over there, or would stream from one to another. But the utility isn't great, and he hasn't done anything to it. It was very evident when he took over which engineers he let go of first, and those were probably people on Twitter Spaces, because it's clunky, your phone overheats, the audio is temperamental, and yeah, but people love it. Some people love it.
which means the illusion. Don't forget, illusion is related to the Latin word ludere, to play. So the play, the big act. It also means magic, as in the conjurer's creation of an illusion. It also means creative power. It also means art. And finally, it means the divine power. The Maya of the Lord. Lord, is a bad translation of Bhagavan. Just the divine one. The Lord means boss in English. The Hindus don't do it that way.
When you shop in the Jewel Osco app, you can count on prices that are the same online as they are in store.
But now you see, I've arranged this general introduction, which I'm afraid will be familiar to some of you who have attended my seminars before, but I've arranged this general introduction to raise the question, all right, if that's the way it is, how on earth are we going to arrange a transformation of man's consciousness so that he'll know it? Not just in theory, but something he feels in the same way as you feel what you take to be I at the present moment, confronting an external world. How will you transform that sensation? Because if you don't transform that sensation, you'll not ever be fit to use technology. We shall continue to use our technology in a hostile spirit towards the external world, and we shall wreck the external world. We're busy doing it now. There is no necessity to abandon technology. We can't abandon it. But we can certainly use it in a different spirit. I have just been in the island of Ceylon, which is a garden, a beautiful, beautiful place, but it's completely undeveloped from a technical point of view. And it's in very bad economic circumstances because nobody wants to buy natural rubber anymore. There's no foreign exchange. It's very peaceful. But the change has got to come. So I discussed with one of the high members of the government the possibility that we could set up in Ceylon an experimental station, which would serve not only India, eventually, and Africa, but us too. An institute of ecological technology, where we could, in that experimental island, work out ways of production, of mechanization, automation, and so on, which would not ruin the island. And you have to do that sort of thing with a certain dedication, because one of the reasons why we make such a mess with technology is that the shareholders in any given corporation want to make a fast buck. Now, there's nothing wrong, you see, in wanting to be rich. There's nothing at all wrong in being rich. In fact, I think the world without rich people would be extraordinarily boring. The point is, you have to understand what riches are. And they are not money. Riches are land, clothes, food, houses, intelligence, energy, skill, iron, forests, gardens. Those are riches. But when you are concentrating, you see, only on making the buck, it doesn't occur to you that you're not really getting rich. You're just impoverishing yourself. It's like, when you up prices, the value of the dollar goes down, 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 down. You're just on a rat race, on a treadmill. The faster it moves, it doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't even stay in the same place. So, does that kind of get, this is another example of confusing the symbol with the reality of misplaced, the fallacy of misplaced completeness, is quite important. So we shall devote the rest of the seminar to discussing the various ways in which it is proposed that we bring about, or assist the bringing about, of that change in our perception and conception of our own existence, so that we can feel ourselves the way we are, as distinct from the way in which we've been told to feel ourselves. If you were told that you were going to be given half an hour's interview with God, and you had the privilege of asking one question, I wonder what you would ask. You might be given some preparation too. I find it a little difficult to say what the subject matter of this seminar is going to be, because it's too fundamental to give it a title. I'm going to talk about what there is. Now, the first thing, though, that we have to do is to get our perspectives with some background about the basic ideas which, as Westerners living today in the United States, influence our everyday common sense, our fundamental notions about what life is about. And there are historical origins for this, which influence us more strongly than most people realize. Ideas of the world which are built into the very nature of the language we use, and of our ideas of logic and of what makes sense altogether. And these basic ideas I call myth, not using the word myth to mean simply something untrue, but to use the word myth in a more powerful sense. A myth is an image, in terms of which we try to make sense of the world. Now, for example, a myth in a way is a metaphor. If you want to explain electricity to someone who doesn't know anything about electricity, you say, well, you talk about an electric current. Now, the word current is borrowed from rivers. It's borrowed from hydraulics. And so you explain electricity in terms of water. Now, electricity is not water. It behaves actually in a different way, but there are some ways in which the behavior of water is like the behavior of electricity. And so you explain it in terms of water. Or if you're an astronomer and you want to explain to people what you mean by an expanding universe and curved space, you say, well, it's as if you had a black balloon, and there are white dots on the black balloon, and those dots represent galaxies. And as you blow the balloon up, uniformly, all of them grow and grow farther apart. But you're using an analogy. The actual universe is not a balloon with white dots on it. So in the same way, we use these sort of images to try and make sense of the world. And we at present are living under the influence of two very powerful images, which are, in the present state of scientific knowledge, inadequate. And one of our major problems today is to find an adequate, satisfying image of the world. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to go further than that. Not only what image of the world to have, but how we can get our sensations and our feelings in accordance with the most sensible image of the world that we can manage to conceive. All right, now, the two images which we have been working under for 2,000 years and maybe more are what I would call two models of the universe. The first is called the ceramic model, and the second, the fully automatic model. The ceramic model of the universe is based on the book of Genesis, from which Judaism, Islam, and Christianity derive their basic picture of the world. And the image of the world in the book of Genesis is that the world is an artifact. It is made. As a potter takes clay and forms pots out of it, or as a carpenter takes wood and makes tables and chairs out of it. Don't forget, Jesus is the son of a carpenter, and also the son of God. So the image of God and of the world is based on the idea of God as a technician, potter, carpenter, architect, who has in mind a plan and who fashions the universe in accordance with that plan. So basic to this image of the world is the notion, you see, that the world consists of stuff, basically. Primordial matter, substance, stuff, as parts are made of clay. Now, clay by itself has no intelligence. Clay does not of itself become a pot. Although a good potter may think otherwise. Because if you were a really good potter, you don't impose your will on the clay. You ask any given lump of clay what it wants to become, and you help it to do that. And then you become a genius. But the ordinary idea I'm talking about is that simply clay is unintelligent. It's just stuff. And the potter imposes his will on it and makes it become whatever he wants. And so in the book of Genesis, the Lord God creates Adam out of the dust of the earth. In other words, he makes a clay figurine, and then he breathes into it, and it becomes alive. Because the clay becomes informed. By itself it is formless, it has no intelligence, and therefore it requires an external intelligence and an external energy to bring it to life and to put some sense into it. And so in this way, we inherit a conception of ourselves as being artifacts, as being made, and it is perfectly natural in our culture for a child to ask its mother, how was I made? Or who made me? And this is a very, very powerful idea, but for example, it is not shared by the Chinese or by the Hindus. A Chinese child would not ask its mother, how was I made? A Chinese child might ask its mother, how did I grow? Which is an entirely different procedure from making. You see, when you make something, you put it together, you arrange parts, or you work from the outside to the in, as a sculptor works on a stone, or as the potter works on clay. But when you watch something growing, it works in exactly the opposite direction. It works from the inside to the outside. It expands, it burgeons, and it happens all in the original simple form, say, of a living cell in the womb, progressively complicates itself. And that's the growing process, and it's quite different from the making process. But we have thought historically, you see, of the world as something made, the idea being that trees, for example, are constructions, just as tables and houses are constructions. And so there is, for that reason, a fundamental difference between the made and the maker. And this image, this ceramic model of the universe, originated in cultures where the form of government was monarchical, and where, therefore, the maker of the universe was conceived also at the same time in the image of the king of the universe. King of kings, Lord of lords, the only ruler of princes, who doth from thy throne behold all dwellers upon earth. I'm quoting the Book of Common Prayer. And so, all those people who are oriented to the universe in that way feel related to basic reality as a subject to a king. And so they are on very, very humble terms in relation to whatever it is that works all this thing. I find it odd in the United States that people who are citizens of a republic have a monarchical theory of the universe. Because we are carrying over from the very ancient Near Eastern cultures the notion that the Lord of the universe
I'm not sure.
must be respected in a certain way. People kneel, people bow, people prostrate themselves. Because the woman, and you know what the reason for all that is, that nobody is more frightened of everybody else than a tyrant. He sits with his back to the wall, and there's guards on either side of him. And he has you face downwards on the ground because you can't use weapons that way. When you come into his presence, you don't stand up and face him because you might attack. And he has reason to fear that you might because he's ruling you all. And the man who rules you all is the big screw in the bunch. Because he's the one who succeeded in crime. The other people are pushed aside because the criminals, the people we lock up in jail, are simply the people who didn't make it. So naturally, the real boss sits with his back to the wall and his henchmen on either side of him. And so when you design a church, what does it look like? Catholic church with the altar as it used to be. It's changing now because the Catholic religion is changing. But the Catholic church has the altar with its back to the wall at the east end of the church. And there, the altar is the throne, and the priest is the chief vizier of the court, and he is making obeisance to the throne in front, but there is the throne of God, the altar. And all the people are facing it and kneeling down. And a great Catholic cathedral is called a basilica, from the Greek. Basileus, which means king.
Maybe it was us.
So a basilica is the house of the king. And the ritual of the Catholic Church is based on the court rituals of Byzantium. The Protestant Church is a little different, but basically the same. The furniture of a Protestant church is based on a judicial courthouse. The pulpit. The judge in an American court wears a black robe. He wears exactly the same dress as a Protestant
Maybe
minister.
it was us last night.
And everybody sits in these boxes. Like there's a jury box, there's a box for the judge, there's a box for this, a box for that, and those are pews in an ordinary kind of colonial type Protestant church. So both these kinds of churches, which have an autocratic view of the nature of the universe, decorate themselves, are architecturally constructed in accordance with political images of the universe. One is the king and the other is the judge, Your Honor. There's sense in this. When in the court you have to refer to the judge as Your Honor, it stops the people
Maybe it was us last night.
litigation from losing their tempers and getting rude. There's a certain sense to that. But when you want to apply that image to the universe itself, to the very nature of life, it has limitations. For one thing, the idea of a difference between matter and spirit. This idea doesn't work anymore. Long, long ago, physicists stopped asking the question, what is matter? They began that way. They wanted to know, what is the fundamental substance of the world? And the more they asked that question, the more they realized they couldn't answer it. Because if you're going to say what matter is, you've got to describe it in terms of behavior. And that is to say, in terms of form, in terms of pattern. You tell what it does. You describe the smallest shapes of it that you could see. Do you you see what happens? You look, say, at a piece of stone, and you want to say, well, what is this piece of stone made of? Well, you take your microscope, and you look at it, and instead of just this block of stuff, you see ever so many tinier shapes, little crystals. So you say, fine, so far so good. Now, what are these crystals made of? And you take a more powerful instrument, and you find that they are made of molecules. And then you take still more powerful instruments to find out what the molecules are made of, and you begin to describe atoms, electrons, protons, mesons, all sorts of sub-nuclear particles. But you never arrive at the basic stuff, because there isn't any. What happens is this: stuff is a word for the world as it looks when our eyes are out of focus, fuzzy. Stuff, the idea of stuff is that it's undifferentiated as some kind of a goo. Huh? And when your eyes are not in sharp focus, everything looks fuzzy. When you get your eyes into focus, you see a form, you see a pattern. But when you want to change the level of magnification and go in closer and closer and closer, you get fuzzy again before you get clear. So every time you get fuzzy, you go through thinking there's some kind of stuff there. But when you get clear, you see a shape. And so all that we can talk about is patterns. We never can talk about the stuff of which these patterns is supposed to be made, because you don't really have to suppose that there is any. It's enough to talk about the world in terms of pattern. It describes anything that can be described. And you don't really then have to suppose that there is some stuff which constitutes the essence of the pattern in the same way that clay constitutes the essence of pots. Clay, and so for this reason, you don't really have to suppose that the world is some kind of helpless, passive, unintelligent junk which an outside agency has to inform and make it into intelligent shapes. So the picture of the world in the most sophisticated physics of today is not formed stuff, potted clay, but pattern. A self-moving, self-designing pattern. A dance. And we haven't yet, our common sense as individuals hasn't yet caught up with this. Well now, in the course of time, in the evolution of Western thought, the ceramic image of the world ran into trouble and changed into what I call the fully automatic model or image of the world. In other words, Western science was based on the idea that there are laws of nature. And it got that idea from Judaism and Christianity and Islam. That, in other words, the potter, the maker of the world, in the beginning of things, laid down the laws. And the law of God, which is also the law of nature, is called the Logos. And in Christianity, the Logos is the second person of the Trinity, incarnate as Jesus Christ, who thereby is the perfect exemplar of the divine law. So we have tended to think of all natural phenomena as responding to laws, as if, in other words, the laws of the world were like the rails on which a streetcar or a tram or a train runs. And these things exist in a certain way, and all events respond to these laws. You know that limerick, there was a young man who said, damn, For it suddenly seems that I am a creature that moves in determinate grooves. I'm not even a bus, I'm a tram. So, here's this idea that there's a kind of a plan, and everything responds and obeys that plan. Well, in the 18th century, Western intellectuals began to suspect this idea. And what they suspected is whether there is a lawmaker, whether there is an architect of the universe. And they found out, or they reasoned, that you don't have to suppose that there is. Why? Because the hypothesis of God does not help us to make any predictions. Nor does it, in other words, let's put it this way. If the business of science is to make predictions about what's going to happen, science is essentially prophecy. What's going to happen? By studying the behavior of the past and describing it carefully, we can make predictions about what's going to happen in the future. That's really the whole of science. And to do this, and to make successful predictions, you do not need God as a hypothesis. Because it makes no difference to anything. If you say everything is controlled by God, everything is governed by God, that doesn't make any difference to your prediction of what's going to happen. And so what they did was simply drop that hypothesis. But they kept the hypothesis of law. Because if you can predict, if you can study the past and describe how things have behaved, and you've got some regularities in the behavior of the universe, you call that law. Although it may not be law in the ordinary sense of the word, it's simply regularity. And so what they did was they got rid of the lawmaker and kept the law. And so they conceived the universe in terms of a mechanism. Something, in other words, that is functioning according to regular, clock-like mechanical principles. Newton's whole image of the world is based on billiards. The atoms are billiard balls, and they bang each other around. And so your behavior, every individual therefore is defined as a very, very complex arrangement of billiard balls being banged around by everything else. And so behind the fully automatic model of the universe is the notion that reality itself is, to use the favorite term of 19th century scientists, blind energy. In, say, the metaphysics of Ernst Haeckel and T.H. Huxley, the world is basically nothing but energy. Blind, unintelligent force. And likewise, in parallel to this, in the philosophy of Freud, the basic psychological energy is libido, which is blind lust. And it is only a fluke. It is only as a result of pure chances that, resulting from the exuberance of this energy, there are people with values, with reason, with languages, with cultures, and with love. Just a fluke. Like, 1,000 monkeys typing 1,000 typewriters for 1,000,000 years will eventually type the Encyclopedia Britannica. And of course, the moment they stop typing the Encyclopedia Britannica, they will relapse into nonsense. And so in order that that shall not happen, because you and I are flukes in this cosmos, and we like our way of life, we like being human. If we want to keep it, say these people, we've got to fight nature, because it will turn us back into nonsense the moment we let it. And so we've got to impose our will upon this world as if we were something completely alien to it from outside. And so we get a culture based on the idea of the war between man and nature. We talk about the conquest of space, the conquest of Everest, and the great symbols of our culture are the rocket and the bulldozer. The rocket. You know, compensation for the sexually inadequate male. So we're going to conquer space. You know, we're in space already, way out. If anybody cared to be sensitive and let what's outside space come to you, you can if your eyes are clear enough. Aided by telescopes, aided by radio astronomy, aided by all the kind of sensitive instruments we can devise. We are as far out in space as we're ever going to get. But, you know, sensitivity isn't the pitch. Especially in the WASP culture of the United States, we define manliness in terms of aggression. You see, because we're a little bit frightened as to whether we are really men. And so we put on this great show of being a tough guy. It's completely unnecessary. You know, if you have what it takes, you don't need to put on that show. And you don't need to beat nature into submission. Why be hostile to nature? Because after all, you are a symptom of nature. You, as a human being, you grow out of this physical universe in just exactly the same way that an apple grows off an apple tree. So let's say the tree which grows apples is a tree which apples, using apple as a verb. And a world in which human beings arrive is a world that peoples. And so the existence of people is symptomatic of the kind of universe we live in. You, as a human being, you grow out of this physical universe in just exactly the same way that an apple grows off an apple tree. So let's say the tree which grows apples is a tree which apples, using apple as a verb. And a world in which human beings arrive is a world that peoples. And so the existence of people is symptomatic of the parking lot. That's all humans can forgive and should forgive.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is how him and Lou just trauma bond together over.
Don't bring me into this. I'm not the one that wanted you to eat Nutella out of my ass.
I never said that. I just want to let you guys know that I am under contractual obligation to record every conversation that I have.
Oh, fuck. I like it.
Good, put it on YouTube.
That's right, I was there for that.
They got me. They fucking got me. Decide. They got me.
This is Federal Agent Spooner.
So did anybody actually see the Epstein release and see the flight logs?
We're gonna have words, Edmund. You and I, we're gonna have words.
Whatever, you're pulling a Diego. You're telling a fat girl in the fucking Finland that you're in love with her.
How dare you? I've never used those words.
Yeah.
Finland? What if
Hello?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what's up?
I mean, you're a 24/7 streamer.
Oh, believe you me, what else do I have to live for? I'm alive. That's what live stream means. I'm more alive than the zombies watching me. They give me the power.
How was the date last night?
It was good. We had a nice time. She was, pretty beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, she's I could tell why she likes black men, because she's a big white woman.
And so you got along, you made her laugh, you did palm reading. What did you
Yeah, gave the hand massage. You should. I was giving her a hand massage and saying, I was like, this is a combination hand massage, palm reading. And I look up and her eyes are like transfixed and like, peering into me because she was so activated from the hand massage. Zach, what up? I'm talking to my friend Max. We can start a minion if you want. The minion is forming.
Good job.
This is the Max.
This is the Max. This is the
The
Maximus. The Max.
The Max.
I know Max from Chabad. That's how we met. I saw him at the local Chabad, and we're going back March 7th.
That's right.
We're starting right back where we began at Chabad. What does it mean again? Do you remember the acronym? Like for Chabad, it's like Chachma.
Chokma Bina Das, isn't it?
Dot? What was it? I can't remember.
Dot. Well, they say Das.
Hmm.
The Ashkenazi, yeah, but I guess it would be dot. Dot.
What do you do? What are you doing today, Max?
Honestly, recouping from fucking jury duty. I don't want to do much.
How should you just go to the gym, work out, and do a hot tub?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't worked out in a long time. In fact, I gotta get back into it.
Bro, how can you not work out? Like, I mean,
I know.
Yeah, man, you gotta go. Like, I don't know. For me, I think, like, you know, I don't know, dude. I don't know how you do it, because I wake up every morning after I go to the gym. The next day, I'm like, damn, I feel good. If I didn't go to the gym, I'd feel like shit.
Yeah. No, it's true. I feel like shit.
Damn. Well, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Are you still taking Adderall?
No.
Holy shit. Well, time to start smoking some weed. You know, that shit went legal for a reason, right? Because it's like the most amazing chemical ever created. I'm not saying you want to start a smoking habit, but short term, to get over your depression, you may want to take God's greatest antidepressant every morning before you take your fat ass to the gym.
The reason I haven't been going to the gym is like I've been enjoying food like Paterno's, you know, too much. I've been overindulgent.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you got to work out before you eat. The food is the replenishment from the workout. Without the workout, you can't, you know, you're killing yourself with the food. Like, you're literally killing yourself. You literally have to, like, the chicken, the meat, that is all supposed to be reintegrated by doing a tough workout.
Max.
Listen, the reason why we met at Chabad was so Hashem could tell me to tell you, smoke a joint, make yourself a kiddish, and take your fat ass to the gym. And look at all the hot pussy as you're lifting weights and on a treadmill. You see what I'm saying? We're going to Shalom.
Yeah.
That's the joy of life. You know, you got to, you know, butterflies are always moving. They're always harvesting. They're always flying. You know, what are you? You're a gluttonous piece of pizza. Be like a flower.
Okay, I'm going to the gym today.
Good. The girl last night, she had a butterfly tattoo and a bee tattoo. And I'm like, oh great, this one's gonna fly away real quick. But maybe not before she tastes my nectar, if you know what I'm saying.
Did you say that?
No, but it's funny, the Indian doctor that I was seeing recently,
Do you think of this in your head? Like, did you think of that line in your head last night and just stop yourself, or you just thought of that today?
No, I was saying all kinds of shit to her last night. I was teasing her about how she said she's looking for tall, dark, and handsome. I was like, does that mean Italian men or, you know, Nubians?
Mm-hmm. So you got along, you think did you try to take her home, or you didn't?
Of course I did. I said, why don't I leave my car here and come home with you? She's like, no.
So do you think you'll see her again?
Probably, but you never know. She's a butterfly and a bee.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, you know, we'll see. I mean, dude. I mean, I can tell you, it's fucking February. Come June, July, August, like that. Even if I start, you know, seeing her, that'll be like, you know, 4 months away. Anyways, if we hit the 3-month mark, it's very, you know, tempting to be like, hey, you know. I'm just saying that in the summertime, communication goes crazy. There's so many chicks out and about, and every girl wants to go to the beach and sit on some fucking guy's boat and go to the playpen. So, you know, I'm just like, she's a butterfly and a bee. I mean, why, You know, in meditation, basically, I'm saying like even with women, like you have to let it go. You have to clear your mind of a woman. You know, a beautiful woman that you want to ravish.
Yeah. And how much did you spend? 100?
Maybe like 60 on the dinner, and then another like 40 on the drinks. 50, you know, $110.
Did you go any place else besides Big Star?
Yeah, we went to Violet Hour, that speakeasy across the street.
street.
Yeah, where you were like, I'm Mr. White. Zach, we go to this place. They're like, "Do you have a reservation?" I'm like, I don't know if I even said anything. And then Max is like, "I'm Mr. White," and I was like, "Holy shit!" And then they seated Mr. White and I, and then we're sitting there having a drink, and fucking Mr. White walks in, and he's a black guy.
Oh my god, that's amazing. How did you know? Did you just guess Mr. White?
No, he saw it on the registrar.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I took a peek at the hostess stand and saw the name sign.
And then you believe?
No, they didn't say anything to us.
Oh, really?
We had ordered drinks at that point, and they had availability. They just like to try to be uptight to keep the place, you know, with like make it seem like it's, you know, a VIP place. But it's the shittiest bar you've ever been in. It's amazing how they like rip you off. It's a shitty fucking bar. They have these like uptight chairs that you can't recline, and it just makes the whole experience very uncomfortable. Like last night was uncomfortable, but nonetheless we still had a nice time. Like the chairs are just annoying.
Good night kiss or no?
Yeah, but it wasn't like she really returned the kiss. It was like she just stood there, and I'm like sucking on her fat lips or like kissing her lips. There was no real return of a kiss. Yeah. Which is not the best sign in the world, but I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm going for it. Like, you know, grab him by the pussy. I mean, should have grabbed her by the pussy. That probably would have worked in my favor. You know, I mean, can you like put your hand in the middle of a girl's thighs and just like go for it and like slowly creep and then like look for look in the eyes and be like, if the eyes say no, then you go no further, but. I'm just saying it's not really touching anything if you're just touching like the inside of a thigh, you know, but if she moves your hands away, then it's a no-go, but it's like, anyways, that's what I'm saying. Like if you make your move, you know, you're not doing it wrong if you do it incrementally.
Yeah.
So what are you doing today, Zach?
The same shit. I was working at the restaurant. I've got a new kind of side job that I'm sure you would make fun of me for, but I'm doing that.
What, the
mushroom? That later.
What's the side job?
Teaching driving to high school students.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, all right, there, you're not making fun of me. I mean, you're not the type to make fun. I guess I'm self-conscious because it's not a career and it's not advancing my dreams, so it feels like a waste of time, but I guess it's a way to get some money, which is good, and I'm not really advancing my dreams very much now anyway, so that's what I'm doing.
Well, you need to create, you know...
What are your dreams, Zach?
Well, I think my dreams are in period of transition. I'm not really sure what they are anymore. I used to be like very one track. I used to be consumed by this vision, and I let the vision drive me, and I knew what to do every day. But then the vision kind of, I don't know, got corrupted somehow, or I let it change in my mind, and now it doesn't feel the same. So. I'm trying to find the feeling again, or find a new vision maybe, or just kind of teach high schoolers how to drive, I guess, while I'm waiting to...
See, driving a vehicle the analogy is that your body is the Merkaba, and that your body is the true vehicle. So if, you know, you're trying to make that money by teaching a kid how to drive a vehicle, but imagine if you were teaching people how to use their real vehicle, which is their body. You could do that through yoga, you could do that through hypnosis.
Well, I did think of, do you want to do, maybe Max is the man for this too, but so I was talking with my friend Dan yesterday, a real
friend, not a clubhouse friend. I mean, you're a real friend too, but this is a friend in real life. And we started talking again about this idea. I had this idea for the Center for Offline Communication. It's a new nonprofit. And we could do
good.
workshops on what? Sounds good or bad?
Good. I like the name because it inverts the internet.
Right. So we can lead workshops. We could create content for YouTube. We could get grants from USAID. We could have a black woman be our CEO, spokesperson. And,
Wait, it sounds like you're setting up a BLM chapter.
I don't know. My dreams for a while, Max, were centered around building this nature connection organization, which is my work. I'm running this teaching kind of like a school where we teach different classes about nature connection, but I don't know, I'm more excited about other things, communication or
Zach.
doing jujitsu and stuff.
Zach,
like that.
I was going to ask you, have you used the Google Lens app to do like floral identification?
Yeah, there are better apps even than Google Lens, but yes.
Oh, I see. Cool. Yeah.
I can tell you what's the one that I use.
So let's just wait. I just want to get back to the point that essentially, if we are doing,
Picture this.
no matter what we're doing, I told Max one day, I was like, bro, here's a burner phone. Like, you have to start a business. And then he finally created like an Instagram app, and it was like, Max, what did you create? It was like something about materials testing science. That was like the Instagram account you created. Well, my point is that communication in itself is a business. It's so general, but I'm just saying that, like, technically the smartest business is kind of like what Alan Watts does, which is like a self-hypnosis in a way. So to me, it seems like the perfect paperless business. And the interesting thing about Max's dad is that when he's a speech therapist or anyways, the point is he was a hypnotist as well. He was interested in hypnotism. And Max's dad has like perfected a form of like hypnosis in a business. He teaches international people how to speak American English. And as you know, this stupid Clownhouse app is actually just a learning environment for non-native English speakers.
Right, it's just free ESL.
Yeah, and they waste all our time talking about politics, religion, psychology, whatever, but technically they're just communicating with native English speakers. And they sit here and they just define words or use, so it's a waste of time. But Max's dad actually has a pipeline where, hey, don't waste my fucking time. Click here to buy now. His dad, you got to go to his website. It's called Pronunciation Workshop. Look at his YouTube. Look at his Instagram. His dad has like simplified and perfected hypnosis. And his catchphrase is, say this word. Like, that's his like induction. It's a very simple hypnotic induction. Say this word. And then he uses the word, and then he like breaks it down with like technical grammar. His dad is very smart. His dad wanted to be a famous singer, but he's like, I can't be a famous singer because I'm bald. He's like, but I can be a world famous international English teacher. So I would say look to Max's dad to like refine your own business operations in terms of communication, because if you had a reputation as being like this wildlife endocrinologist, and you could actually like teach people how to do foresting or foraging and cooking and eating, like that's a very valuable knowledge. But you could offer franchises or regional franchises or something. Like, you have to package it, brand it, and get people to invest in what your experience and knowledge is. But you have to show the proof in the pudding and say, do what I do, in a way. Or anyways, I had all these business websites like hookahbusiness.com, tanningsalonbiz.com, pizzabiz.com, how to open these types of businesses. And I was selling ebooks and CD-ROMs. And I had like a franchise section. I mean, I had people contacting me that wanted to really invest and open these types of businesses. And like, if I was smart, I would have been like, okay, you got $200,000. I'll fly the fuck out there and open the fucking business for you, you lazy piece of shit. So, people, if they've got the money or access to the money, you got to find the people that have access to the money. Some rich uncles, some, there's people out there that have money that want to invest. So you have to find people with money, or you have to find a lot of people with a little money. You know, a million customers at a
I
dollar.
don't like to boast on a recorded app, but somebody the other day was saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have your real name on Clubhouse." It almost felt like a threat. It's like, all right, somebody's going to come kill me. I don't know. But I get grants with the Rewild Maine.
Mhm. Yeah, but you're geographically specific. You're just operating in Maine. Like you
I
need.
know, but the Center for Offline Communication could
Yeah.
be international.
Yep. Yeah.
And so, anyway, you might consider sitting on the board, being a part of the founding board of directors of the Center for Offline Communication, because my friend Dan White and I are looking for board members.
Yeah, you can put my name on there. I mean, just text me and I can send you any signature or whatever you need. But
there you go.
I mean, anyways, the point is, the live streaming stuff, creating content, to me, that's the real business. Like, look at Dr. Pimple Popper. She's a dermatologist who can make, $500,000 a year or more in her practice, but her YouTube shit, her TikTok and Instagram and merchandise or whatever, she's probably making a fuck ton more on the content than she is in her actual practice. So that's where we want to get, essentially either with hypnosis or meditation. But really running the business through cell phones and being, it frees us up a lot. There's no overhead. There's no retail storefront. I mean, that's a fucking nightmare. Modern businesses are run from home in your fucking underpants in your mom's basement while you're smoking weed, drinking Miller High Life. That's all I gotta say. That's my opinion. Keep it simple, stupid. That's the principle. Kiss, love, joy, peace. That is the meaning of life, peace and joy. So that's the business, technically, Peace Joy Incorporated. What do you think? That's my pitch.
I like it. There's always dishes to be done at this time. I used to do my dishes at night when I was single, and I don't know. It's like we've been living together for a long time, and we're still not really in the same dishes habit. Anyway, there's a dishwasher.
Yeah, I got a dishwasher. I got a dishwasher. It's nice.
Yeah.
Sucks not having a dishwasher. I mean,
it sucks.
It's better to have money though than to have a dishwasher or even dishes to do. Because if you got a lot of money, you just eat out every day. There ain't no fucking dishes to do.
Or you pay somebody to clean your dishes.
Exactly. So we need to, find out how to secretly get money from people. Did you see that this one OnlyFans star? She has made $50 million. I can't remember her name exactly.
Why secretly?
Sophie Rain.
Sophie Rain, $50 million net.
You know what? I don't think she's hot, and I think her body looks weird. Maybe it's just because I'm bitter and I'm trying to protect myself emotionally from being very jealous about this thing, but. She's not even. I mean, she's hot. All right, her body, I guess, but she looks kind of weird, don't you think?
She just looks like a hot little brunette to me, But the fact that she clearly is doing things, which are not the norm, or she's doing it better. Because you could go on any porn website and see just an unlimited amount of porn, hundreds of millions of videos of porn, and it's like a lot of those girls aren't making shit, but. If I've gone to OnlyFans and I've purchased content to see how it works, technically it's all just spam because you're buying videos and pictures that are not even fresh. They're from fucking 10 years ago. So the whole thing is essentially a hypnosis dopamine for losers who want to bust a nut to old content. And it's old content is no different than fucking new content. Fucking and video porn, it doesn't matter if it's now or from 10 years ago. There's no fucking difference. It's all the same shit. It's just sucker losers who actually spend money on porn. It's insane, but it's a drug. It produces oxytocin. So, I'm not saying be a digital pimp and go all Andrew Tate, but I'm just saying be aware of communication and dopamine creation and hypnosis. We have to find a way, whether it's PG-13. I had a girl come to my apartment doing yoga in a bikini, and it was called bikini.yoga, and I was selling one-on-one personal bikini yoga sessions on Zoom for $250 a pop. and it was working. I had people that were like wanted to do, you know, bikini yoga. And so I'm not saying we could do that again, but like I'm just saying there's things out there that you're going to have to create, which are essentially, you know, opportunity costs for people that are going to click buy now. There's no other way to make the money. The money from the internet is still like pirate radio. It's a big opportunity to make money on the internet. It's a question of, you know, also the other thing is CPAC, you know, Conservative Political Action Committee. They have their annual CPAC meeting in DC. I should have gone to that this year. Our Max Gruber and my friend Max Rice, a mutual friend that I met through Max, is he went to CPAC, and like I have the ability to create videos that he might not be able to do because let's just say he's on the spectrum, you know. So like I'm good with a camera and I'm good with cell phones. So if next year, this time next year, if we're all still in a minion, uh, we will go to CPAC, all of us, and we will film the shit out of Republicans and create basically a conservative media company, or at least attempt to. You know, if Ben Shapiro can do it, we can do it, gentlemen. That's my opinion.
And a serious one or a comedy one?
Both. What's the difference? Because, you know, comedy is what look at Jon Stewart and fucking our favorite guy. What's his face? I always forget his name. Primetime Stein, Alex Stein. You know, like he's only got like 200,000 subscribers on YouTube, but he's on TV. He's like on whatever network that is. You know, and his shit is crazy. The fact that he says he's married to a black woman, some black guy in a diaper. You know what I'm talking about? His cast member, the Ladante, or have you ever actually watched his shit? You're like, this shit's crazy. It's like on acid.
Yeah.
But it's funny because you can't believe what you're watching, and you take it as like being literal or real, and you're like, oh shit, this is like all fucking fantasy crazy and funny. So Max was over here, and we went to lunch, and before we went to lunch, I'm like, after lunch, I'm like, let me show you the coach house. We go into the coach house on my property. There's a busted pipe flooding the fucking house. And I'm like, oh my God. So if Max wouldn't have come over here, I might not have gone into that coach house for weeks. Thank God you came over here, Max.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh man, it
Sounds
was
like a good story.
it was fucked. That place. But I haven't been in there in 2 days. I'm about to see. Hopefully it's dried out. And I think, you know, thank God I had a break in the weather here. Otherwise this shit would have been frozen. Could have been like impossible to fix. Who knows? Just saying, you know.
But
God.
I think told my parents about it. You know, thank God it came in and we went in and stopped it.
Yeah.
But my mom, you know, mentioned that you might. I mean, I don't know how much you care, but getting you know, they advertise like not reclamation, but
filing
basically
an
a
insurance
mold
claim.
company, because underneath the tile, like I don't know, you could have a serious mold problem.
You know that building is old. Like I'm sure mold is just painted over. You know that's the secret of every landlord. It's like, shh, we're just gonna paint over the mold. When I was dating that girl Lenore, she was like, "Will you help my friend move like from one apartment to the other apartment?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So her and I go over to her place. I'm like, "Why are you moving out of this amazing apartment to like the second floor of this building?" It was in Old Town. She had the coolest apartment I've ever seen. It was like you walk in and then it like goes down a level in the center, and it was like a square, like literally in the middle of the living room, and like she had all these cushions. I was like, this is like a cool like party scene. But anyways, I was like, why are you moving out here? And she's like, there's so much mold in the bathroom and other places. So moving this girl's shit into this new apartment, I'm like, hey, come over here. I'm like, look, this fucking new place has mold all over it too. She's like, whatever. I'm like, but you sued your landlord over mold. You know, it was like she was fucking with her landlord. Anyways, she was a smart girl. She had some kind of like astrology, like reading business, and she was doing like star charts for people and charging them like, you know, $250. And she actually was making like 50, 60,000 a year doing bullshit psychic readings and astrology chart readings. And she worked for she was a Jewish chick, and she worked for this beverage company that did very well. Anyways, yeah, that's life. So Zach, you have any, Max is like not dating chicks because he's cheap, and he doesn't want to pop $150 out of his savings account to take some hot piece of ass that lives next door. This guy lives, Max lives in the epicenter of pussy, and he's not even swiping right. Instead, he's sitting at home eating Paternos, not going to the gym, not swiping right. Max, your brain is the problem.
That's very sad.
It is sad. His brain is the problem.
It's almost as sad as my situation.
Well, the whole point is to know, that you are the eternal self, the eternal I am. And the fact that you don't know that is one of the reasons why you're so lazy. Is because if you knew you had the secret source of the ultimate power, you would say, why am I so depressed? Fuck this. I'm going to go get some amazing pussy. And eat a pizza after the gym. That's my neurolinguistic programming for you. That's the point of a minion, you know that, right? Is to like neurolinguistically program as a group.
I appreciate it. I think you've been a very positive influence on me. I think that oh man, I don't know what needs to change,
It's your
But something
programming.
needs to change.
Look,
Maybe it's just the programming.
if you're watching television and Netflix and it sucks, you're like, oh, I got to change the programming. What's the difference? You have to go within and change the programming within. That's the problem. Most people don't realize that, and thus they never change because they don't work hard enough to change their internal programming. You have the Tanya, Max has the Tanya. Together we can read from the Tanya and program ourselves. But instead we choose to talk about irascible, meaningless bullshit because, we're low IQ dumb people talk about nothing. It's like we think the Seinfeld show is better than the Tanya show, but truly the Tanya show is better than the Seinfeld show.
Yeah, I hear you.
Max, have you, I've told Zach to like record the Tao Te Ching on YouTube. He actually did it yesterday. For the first time, he shot like a video of himself reading the Tao Te Ching. That was his programming. But Max, you have yet to read the Tanya and program yourself. Show me a video of you reading Tanya. You don't have to film yourself. You could film the book while you're reading it, but actually prove to yourself that you're actually doing neurolinguistic programming on yourself. That's the real therapy. Talking to a therapist is not going to reprogram you. Reading a good book like the Tanya is real reprogramming. It's real. It's actually in your brain. And if you have comprehension, you're really actually you're doing neuroplastic restructuring of your brain, which is what you need.
How about clean? So I'm just put on gloves and go out to clean my bathroom. It's clean.
See, this is your problem. Is you don't need to clean your bathroom now. You need 10 minutes of toilet. You need to clean your fucking brain. That's your problem, and that's why you don't go to the gym. You got to clean your fucking brain. Going to the gym is also a cleaning of the brain. So, I don't know. I'm trying to be a person of positive vibrations. I hope it's helpful. Hashem sent me to a military academy and to the drill instructor school so I could yell at my favorite Yiddishkites and say, go to the gym and read a book, fatty! That's my favorite advice now. It's like instead of saying, vote Trump and go to the gym, fatty, it's read a book and go to the gym, fatty. There's like no better advice now because Trump is already in office. So next step, go to the gym again and read a book, fatty. Any other comments, questions, ideas, or opinions on this brief but very important minion before Shabbos?
What are you doing for Shabbos?
I have no plans. Right, I mean, the rest of the day, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to drop off my car at Firestone and have have them give me a quote, and then yeah, that's it pretty much. I might try to get something else done, but other than that, I have no plans. I'll probably do a sunset yoga class in my dining room to the sunset. Put that on YouTube, and then after that, I'll probably be back on Clubhouse live streaming. But what I do want to do is set up my first floor. Oh, Max, I was gonna ask you. I will pay you or take you to dinner or something if you can help me paint that coach house now that
You just told me.
now that the flooding has stopped.
Broke your back.
I know, but two people's it cuts it in half. But you're gonna have to put on a hat or something because honestly, when you paint, that shit gets on your face. It gets everywhere. Even if you go really slow, you're still always because it's fucking liquid, and when you paint, man, that shit splashes, and it's like fuck, I just got paint in my eye. I wore glasses last time. I wore a hat. I wore white clothing, but like it gets all over your arms. It's like you literally, when you paint, you literally got to suit up, because scrubbing paint off your skin is like annoying, and you know that paint is fucking bad for your skin. So. But yeah, dude, painting is a pain in the ass. But now that place is flooded, like everything is fucked up. All that yellow, did you see all that like yellow condensation?
What was that?
That is like literally moisture, like pulling chemicals out of the wood, out of the walls. Yeah. But dude, you know what's amazing is my water pressure in my unit for like the past 2 weeks has been very low, like very low. And finally the water pressure is back. So I wonder if that leak was causing a water pressure issue for the main property. But because we closed it, recreated the pressure. So I don't know if that was what the issue is, but it's terrifying to think how long that shit has been flooding. Because that floor was fucked. I just really hope it fucking evaporates.
How about your water bill? You find out.
Water bill? I don't pay the water bill anymore.
No, what happened?
I'm fucking $450 a month. I can't afford that. I think I owe the city now like close to $3,000 for the water and the sewer. I don't even know if they're taking the garbage away anymore because I'm not paying the water and sewer bill. But Lori Lightfoot put in a law that said the city can't turn your water off if you don't pay the water bill. But I don't know about the garbage. But this is the crazy thing. This is how corrupt shit gets. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to pay the fucking bill, but you know what I am going to do? When I see the garbage truck come by, I'm going to run out there with a $5 bill and say, hey, get rid of my garbage. And you know what the garbage man is going to say? Yes, sir. I never met a garbage man who didn't take cash. That's my opinion. Because I put a bunch of like bricks and shit in the garbage once, and it was so heavy. They're like, sir, we can't lift your garbage. And I was like, it wasn't me who put that shit in the garbage. This is a fly dump. Like somebody dumped that shit. I'm like, and so yeah, like I wasn't gonna take care of it, but sure enough, I gave the garbage man.
Did you put the bricks in?
Yeah, I put the bricks in. But sure enough, I gave them cash, and they fucking did all the work because they're fucking garbage men. What kind of garbage man isn't going to take a bribe? What do you got to lose? You fucking pick up garbage for a living. You think somebody's going to complain because you gave you a little cash? But that's
supposed to make decent living.
Yeah. Well, this is the why we are where we are is because of pensions. Like all these city employees who are going to retire and get their fucking salary for like 30 years after they retire. My dad tells me, he's like, I can't believe I get free money every month at the taxpayer expense, but the pension system is broke like Social Security. There will have to be austerity. So anybody who's like young, they're like really fucked because the system is already so broke that the young people are the ones who are going to have to foot the fucking bill because when everybody's dead, they're the ones still paying the debt essentially to lawyers. Lawyers are the ones who are controlling everything. They're the ones who always get paid in the end. It's an amazing business to be a lawyer and to be juiced into the system. I mean, I see these IRS tax attorney lawyers, they don't do shit. And they're fucking pulling down huge salaries and their pensions are huge. And they just sit there and deliberate, have meetings. You can see them pound out fucking, essays into these big legal briefings, and it's just like, you guys are in a communication business and you're making a ton of money and you have absolute job security. This isn't a real business. You guys are fucking just in the communication business. It's wild that, we go to work every day to essentially support lawyers who control the universe because they rubber stamp and do all the contracts on everything. So technically we all work for this guy Big Zed on this Clown House app. He sits there working, making money as he talks to a bunch of fucking dummies on the internet.
How long have you known Zach?
Zach, how long have we known each other? Like 2 years, maybe? 3 years?
Yeah, I would say that I've been on Clubhouse maybe 3 years or something. I met you pretty soon. I don't know. On and off. I thought you were British for a long time. British man named Edmund. I don't know if Max is really aware of that.
Yeah, he knows.
Are you still up and taken on? Oh no, now you're Adrian.
Yeah.
But how did you follow Edmund to Adrian? Like, did you publicize that you were switching identities?
No, Edmund is from the very beginning. That was my first Clubhouse account. It was called Edmund Dakin because of the streets. But no, there's the transition to Adrian started like 8 months ago because.
I know, but like, how did people follow you? How did people know that you're the same person on Clubhouse?
They know my voice. That's the thing, is everybody, even when I go into a room with a new profile and I try to do a fake voice, everybody's like, is that fucking Edmund?
It's Edmund.
So you're really famous on the platform.
There's no such thing as fame in Clown House because everybody's a fucking loser, including the famous people. Like, if you were the king of retarded people, of like autistic people, are you really a king of anything?
There's no reward for fame either. Like, everybody knows Edmund Dakin as the troll on Clown House, but it doesn't go any further than that.
Yeah, if this app had like a tips function or some kind of like a subscription mode, like I could have like maybe 100 people paying me monthly to be an asshole. But no, there's not. That's why this app is the dumbest fucking piece of shit in the world. Is it takes everything from you and gives you nothing.
Zach, are there other personas on Clubhouse like Edmund, like Adrian?
No,
are there,
no. I mean, look, no.
Are there multiple people like, or is he very unique?
No, he's very unique. He's a very special boy, and I think that he has a lot to offer. And I'm very, I'm very much in approval of his behavior. No homo.
Somebody on YouTube named Seasoned Troll wrote, "Dude, you have perfect shaped head for a bald guy."
There you go. There you go. See, you do it long enough and the people will find you.
My dad told me that once too. I was like depressed because I was going bald. He's like, "John, you got a nicely shaped head. At least you got a nicely shaped head." So I do have a new burner account on Clown House. Zach, don't tell anybody that it's me.
I think I already figured out which one it is. I won't even say it out loud.
Don't say it, because the moment it leaks, it spreads like wildfire. But I'm just gonna, let me give you a 30-second sample of what fucking stupid people are talking about. Listen to this.
I gave them the name of the old lieutenant that was here. There's never been a better number. Anyways, then they wrote down my name, and I had to prove to them that is my name with an ID.
Yeah, if it was the bank, now they're going to be like, oh, this guy that used to live here, he tried to sue them, too.
There you go. And Lou, can you imagine how long it took the police to just write down his... Oh, my God.
It's kind of cool when you use Clubhouse on an Apple. Like it actually uses the bottom speakers and the top speakers, like for individual speakers. It's kind of cool. Android doesn't do that. Android just uses like the speakers, but Apple actually separates out the speakers. That's pretty crazy. I haven't used Clubhouse on Apple in a long time. Okay, any other final comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, or opinions as we end our morning Shabbos meditation?
Right, good Shabbos. I'm going to do a little more work here, and then I got to go teach this kid how to drive, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to go to the open mat.
Zach, I was going to tell you, Max went to Israel too. Max, how long ago was that? Like a year ago that you went on that trip?
2 summers ago now.
2 summers ago. So, and you were in like an armored bus, right? Like doing a tour of like a contentious area in the West Bank or Judea Samaria, right?
Hebron.
Oh, and
Mostly Palestinian.
So what it was like? Was it like a ghetto bus tour? You know how people in Chicago will get in a security bus and do a ghetto tour?
Yeah, but we went to where Adam and Eve and all like the forefathers. Abraham was buried and Rachel was buried and Leah, but it happens to be in the town where the Palestinians are.
Zach, have you ever heard of Hebron? Did you ever go there?
Yeah, of course I've heard of it, and no, I've never been there. Yeah.
So wait, Max.
That's cool.
Max, any other like observations from your experience? Like, what was the trip called again, or what was the theme of the trip? I can't even remember.
Old on me, and it's basically they're trying to get. I think it's called Baal Tshuva, but they're trying to get people who are Jewish to become Orthodox.
Oh wow.
But they sort of gradually bring you there. They don't advertise it as such. But once you're in Israel, then they're like, you can, this 14-day trip, you can extend it for 3 months. We'll print you up and you can go to yeshiva.
Mm-hmm.
Which I, did consider for a good 24 hours.
But that would mean like you stop working. You just drop everything,
Yeah. Yes, you have to drop everything. You have to drop your life. But, they say they're, that this is the most important thing. God is the most important thing.
Right.
And this is for your life. That will set you up with, after yeshiva, then we'll set you up with a wife, with a matchmaker.
Could you imagine going through that and then you're like, oh man, I hope I get like a hot wife. And then they set you up with this like freak show that's like unmarriageable, and you're just like, fuck! Bait and switch! Bait and switch! Where's the hot pussy? I'm not doing all this for some ugly fat bitch. Fuck! Tell that bitch to go to the gym. I just studied the Torah for 3 fucking months. That fat pig didn't go to the gym in 3 fucking months. You want me to fucking marry that fat fucking pig? Holy shit, I'm going back to Chicago, Rabbi. That's my Sam Kinison voice. Like I've essentially, like, if I'm gonna do stand-up comedy ever, like, open mic night, I am definitely gonna do a screaming comedy routine. I'm gonna go from like having a nice, calm, and peaceful voice to having like the Sam Kinison, like, bitch, you fucking ruined my life. It's gonna be like my Clubhouse thing where everybody's like, kick him. I can't stand that fucking voice. I can't stand that fucking voice. It's just when he uses that voice, I can't fucking stand Edmund. I want to go to that Zanies. What I really want to do is rent the stage at Zanies for an hour and then turn my back to the audience and then like live stream a Clubhouse session of like the most, the biggest pieces of shit, and then trolling them in front of an audience. Like, that'll be my comedy show. it's smart because like that's what people are doing is like they're integrating internet into live performances. You know, I mean, even churches do that. Like every major church is like fully live streaming every fucking Sunday and generating online donations. Like they've gone to essentially a digital model.
Yeah.
So why aren't stand-up comics doing the same thing? You know, I mean, I don't know if Comedy Mothership live streams their shows in Austin, but I'm just saying, like the future comedy club will like be live, you know, on the internet, like on a Friday, Saturday night. You can just
doesn't Kill Tony? Isn't that Kill Tony?
yeah, yep,
That's live.
yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I just don't even know that guy that well, but you know, I've never actually like watched.
But have you seen clips of his show?
I'd have to go on YouTube to refresh my memory. I think I know what he barely even knows what he looks like. I just heard some guys talking about him the other day. Like, is he really gay, or does he just say he's gay? Like that's part of his routine or something?
I think he is.
Because Tim Dillon always says, "Not many people know this, but I'm gay." You know, and you're like, does he just mean he's happy? Like, is he just trolling? Like, this is very funny. But all right, well, it's 11:11. Do you know the planets are in alignment today? I think like 5 planets are in alignment. Yeah, it's like a very powerful astrological day. I think there's like they said that you're not gonna see this again for like 15 years or something. But I have a couple telescopes here at my house. I bought like 4 telescopes, so I'm gonna play around with those and see if I can see the planets. I might put the ladder up and go on my roof to see what I can see on the roof. I don't know if I should do it at night or if I should do it during the daytime, but all right, any final comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, or opinions as I hit the end button and leave quietly? Leave quietly.
No.
Crickets.
Say a prayer for my cousin Jessie. She's getting a brain tumor removed today.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it deep in the brain or is it like in the exterior?
I don't know. It's supposedly they found her this past week, a couple days ago, because she didn't pick up her kid at elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to her house and she was on the ground like with dried puke on her.
Oh no.
And then took her in and they see that there was a tumor on her brain.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What's her name? Jessie?
What?
Jessie?
Huh?
What's her name?
Jessie. She lives in Wisconsin. She's on my mom's side.
Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna put on some tefillin shortly.
She's a hippie, and she's like a health fanatic. I mean, she doesn't even wear any deodorant because the chemicals.
Damn, the girl that I went out last night with, she said her dad died in March of 2020, and I was like, thinking it was the pandemic or something, but could have been.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been I didn't even ask her if she was vaccinated or if he was vaccinated. You know, I didn't even get into that because it's like, if you ask somebody if they're vaxxed, immediately you're like creating a frame on somebody, and nobody appreciates being framed.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll say a prayer for Jessie and her family.
Yeah.
And I'll say a prayer for you too, so you stop eating like a pig and go to the gym again like a man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, so say a prayer for me for getting back to the gym.
Okay, have no fear. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself.
That's good. All right, thanks, John. Talk to you later. Nice meeting you, Zach.
Yes, likewise. Be well.
All right, good job.
Okay, good job, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.
to start acting like an attorney?
I will. I got them. I do believe I got them by the balls. I'm still waiting for the response. I'm highly certain at this. Well, I wouldn't say certain, but I'm pretty. I do think it's the bank that sent the police over to my place with a fake name and everything to scare me. There's no other. This never happened to me.
Maybe next time they'll just deport you. Maybe
That's what all virgin guys say the same thing. I swear, baby, this never happened to me before. I'll do better next time. I don't know.
Rabbi, Rabbi.
You should listen to Rico. Rico's a white guy. And they tend to be really good about staying out of trouble.
Nigga, you can't deport someone for not breaking the law. That's not how it works. Like, I have a cleaner record than.
Please don't scroll. I'm just trying to become a good content creator one day.
Well,
I have no
John,
supporters.
John, would you speak to the police?
Please don't scroll.
No.
Have done anything wrong?
No, number one rule is just be polite and respectful. Give respect, but do not talk to police. It's just the number one rule of law.
Why not talk to police? I don't get it.
Because you're stupid.
It's with all, you say, with all due respect, I appreciate the police force, but I'm not going to be discussing my business or my day.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't think the police. I don't think you should not talk to police if they come to you and they have a misunderstanding. You explain things to them, and that's it. What's the problem? I don't get it.
Because anything you say is recorded, stupid. So anything you say can be twisted, stupid. Don't talk to police, stupid.
Anything you say can't be twisted. You're assuming that he wants to twist it, and you're assuming that he can't twist it.
Oh, that's not an assumption, stupid. That's a fact, stupid.
You got two layers of twisting. You got the police, and then you got the.
So if I have a nigga coming to my place telling me that my name is Benjamin Omar, I shouldn't tell him that no, I'm not Benjamin Omar. That's what you're telling me.
No, stupid nigger. What you say is, I don't speak with police. You can talk to my lawyer, and I respect you. Have a great day. Thank you, and God bless.
That's what wealthy people do. But that's just wealthy people mentality,
But that's not true. I don't know where you guys come with all this shit from.
It's because we live in America, stupid, and we're Americans, and we've experienced this, and we see it, and we know it, and it's just out there, and thus, that's why you're stupid.
Oh, you're saying if a police guy comes to you and tells you your name is Jamal Abdul Razak, you don't even tell him that, no, you got the wrong guy? You don't even tell him that?
You don't even say, no, you've got the wrong guy. Exactly. Because he might go, oh, so you mean you were this guy, but you changed your name? Is that what you were trying to tell me?
No, I'm sorry. I don't think there's a single police officer that would do that. No. Like, worst case scenario, they can.
You just haven't met the right asshole yet that doesn't like your face.
He just left. I think worst case scenario, he might come back and say, hey, but we saw that this, and that. And then, okay, I will tell him, okay, you know what? I can prove it in other ways if you'd like. It's like, yeah, there's problems.
Yeah. But right now, what the record says, based on your opening your mouth, it says that Omar lived in that building and has now moved out. That's what it says now. That's the official record.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not, it's a lie.
But it seems like that's how it. No, but I told him that that's not the case. But I don't know how he proceeded with that. But I told him that there was never a Benjamin Omar here. I can assure you.
I know, but the record says there was. It's just that he's not there anymore.
Hey, but that record is easily proven to be false if you look into the building's records.
You are, right now, as it stands, based on the record, potentially an accomplice to whatever he did.
You understand what I told? I'm the second tenant here. And the first tenant is not Benjamin Omar.
Yeah.
Omar was never here, dude.
And now you have to hire an attorney like $350 an hour to deal with this.
No, I don't. What the fuck are you talking about? You guys are insane, man.
Listen, we're not insane. We're just trying to give you practical legal advice, which is don't talk to police. Let your attorney talk to police, because anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law, stupid.
They never say it can be used in your favor. They don't say that. They say it can be used against you.
Listen, I had a tenant that she got sued.
No, I understand that because everything is recorded, right? It's on record. So yeah, it can be used.
Rabbi, the saying is.
How can you use it against me that I'm not the guy you're looking for?
Rabbi, the point is, stupid, that you see that fish on that wall there. You know how that fish got there? It opened its mouth. You understand, stupid?
That's a good one. That's a really good one. But here's the thing, Randy. See, you think it's recorded on a body cam. Don't get it twisted here. It's recorded by a human who has decided that what you said can be interpreted as Omar used to live in
I will tell you, there's like a million agencies in this country that can prove to you that I am not Benjamin Omar, dude.
Dude,
I am not Benjamin.
If I told you I've been confused with people. I could tell you stories, you wouldn't even believe me.
Okay, that's fine, but I can prove it by many different channels. What do you want? Who do you want?
Prove it. Prove it.
And what do you want? Do you want my character? Do you want my previous 3 residences? What do you want? Do you want to go to the Jordanian embassy and ask them also who I am? Do you want my driver's license? Do you want my foreign licenses? What about my foreign offshore bank account? What do you want? I'm not Benjamin Omar, dude. My name is not Benjamin Omar. I assure you.
Wait. This is retarded, dude. Do you think that like a credit card scammer is like, oh look, I'm not the guy that I pretended to be?
No, I'm telling you that every single agency that has any record on me will tell you that I'm not Benjamin Omar.
I understand. Just like the credit card scammer, Tyrone Gibson, will tell the cops, look, you can go to any DMV and see that I am Tyrone Gibson, not Chin Hoofa, the person that I stole an identity from.
Nigga,
it makes no sense.
Do you want my educational certificates? What do you want?
You're missing the point.
You're not understanding it.
Do you want my birth certificate?
But why would someone who's committing credit card fraud not use a fake identification?
Yeah, you impersonated someone. Yes, you are Randy McDickerson, but you impersonated Omar Benjamin.
Who's Benjamin Omar? Who said that there's a credit scam?
Exactly. You see? You don't even know what he's wanted for.
Yeah, I have no clue what he's wanted for, but
So let's say it's identity theft. Why would a guy have evidence of the crime he committed at his house? Of course he'd have evidence showing that he is who he is. Not Benjamin Omar.
He said, from what I understood, is that Benjamin Omar told them that he's here.
If you were very smart, but this would be very difficult, right, John? You could only talk to the police in the form of questions, where you're asking them questions.
That's just so low IQ. Benjamin Omar.
What do you think? It's fucking Clubhouse when you talk to the cops, you fucking idiot?
I don't know if Benjamin Omar did something wrong, because he's the one who told them where he's at. Right, so on my address, I don't believe Benjamin Omar is a real guy. I think it's the bank.
What about if, how about this? Let's run by this. How about if they came with this phony story about Benjamin Omar, just so they could open the door and confirm that you are actually living in that house when they want to off you, when you sue the bank for $10 million? What if that was the whole purpose of it, you idiot?
No, there's a million ways they do it. The police already know that I live here.
Maybe they wanted to confirm it. Maybe they wanted to see that they wanted you to open the door so you could see the layout. They could see if you had any sharp weapons by the door.
Do you understand that as an immigrant, I have like government agents on my ass 24/7 looking into my files and like doing I am probably one of the most screened people in this country.
Sorry to hear that.
Right, so I don't care if what. Do you think
I'm not sorry to hear that.
They know where I'm at.
It's just paranoia, stupid. Somebody complained about you on FetLife. Somebody complained about you on FetLife, and this is what that's all about, stupid.
Where
Mr. Edmond called the police because there were people in front of his house that were suspicious, and he called the police.
Why are you homeless? Why are you homeless in your pictures?
I thought it would be fun. I don't know. I was bored, and I just created it.
Rico's having too much fun with this.
It's retarded. I just think it's retarded that you get. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's how it's like in the U.S.
What do you think I should do? Rabbi, tell me what I should be doing in my picture, and I'll make it for you. I can be doing anything you want.
You should be. You should be giving. You should be giving a dick rating.
Yeah, you should be giving. This is true, Randy.
You should be on your knees blowing your husband.
Randy, let me tell you something about the United States. It's full of pirates and schemers.
Man, I'm sorry. I don't believe that you shouldn't tell the police officer that he's looking for a different guy than you are. If he thinks you're someone else, I don't believe that you should just not tell him, hey, you've got the wrong guy.
Okay.
Respectful, non-confrontational man. I don't see why that's an issue.
But like you said, you already, by the virtue of being in Canada, have agreed to take it up the ass on a regular basis. But Americans have rights.
Like an immigrant cuck.
As an American or Canadian, I have the right not to talk to him. I don't see why I would do that. I simply told him, sir, you got the wrong guy. My name is not Benjamin Omar. That's it.
Here's me on my knees, guys. Here you go.
You sound like a Benjamin Omar.
No, Benjamin Omar is a nigger.
No, it's Elon Omar's brother.
Oh.
So what do you think of this picture of me on my knees? See, it didn't really put me on my knees. It put me kneeling. So I guess the next man that I do this for is gonna be tall because
Amazing.
What kind
The next man? No, you do it to your man you have right now, Danny. Danny, no man's gonna, no sex.
Can you do
gonna want you after one.
Can you do an AI picture of you squatting from the behind while you look back?
So I'm gonna ask AI to make a picture of me looking back at it.
As you squat, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
No papel.
Danny, do you go to the gym early?
Let me ask Zach, because he lives in Portland, Maine. Zach, would you speak to the police if they weren't telling you that you're under arrest or have a warrant?
But that's not what happened. They never.
I wouldn't even have opened the door.
They just flashed the badge. They just flashed the badge in my face and insisted.
And you cocked. That's what they do. That's how they get people. It's like
what you need, Rabbi, you need to get one of those doorbell cameras so that when someone rings it, you can talk to them through a camera.
Correct.
No need to.
I have that at my house.
That's the way to go. Yeah.
I
That's the way to go.
just talk through the Ring doorbell. Although I will say you can't trust those things because they record you and they have access to you.
That's what happens when you listen to Sean Hannity so much.
Sean Hannity.
Yeah, no one's
Sean.
Guys, I think at this point, just believe that everything you think they know and everything is just known. There's no such thing as privacy. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
Danny, why is everything?
Nigga, that's not an issue. I'm literally telling you.
Why are you so sad?
I let them in, even without the warrant.
I know. This is what I got for looking back at it. But I think I look better when I'm sad. It's just like a good look.
My friend Max just talked to Zach and I, and he just sat on a jury trial for the past couple weeks, and he saw the interrogation videos of the cops talking to the guy that murdered his wife, and during the interrogation they were saying, come on, Tony, we would have murdered our wives. We hate our wives. They do terrible things to ourselves. It's not impossible to murder your wife. We know you did it. Just admit it. He's like, I did not do it, and you guys are wasting your time interrogating me. You should be out looking for the murderer. And the jury found him guilty.
And you know why? It's because he talked to the police. You just don't talk to them.
Exactly.
You get a lawyer, you say.
Have you never watched that video where the lawyer literally brings in a cop and they both say don't talk to the police even if you didn't do anything? You never watched it? It's really good.
It's got millions of views. It's a big video, and that's Rabbi what I was referencing when I was saying you're an idiot.
So he literally gives examples of people that were completely innocent and talked to the police and got fucked. Yeah. So.
He doesn't get it.
Doesn't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm sorry. Like, you're just telling me you shouldn't talk to him. That's it.
You remember that? You remember that American woman who that got caught up?
I don't think a police officer wants to hurt me for no reason. I just don't believe it.
No, but Randy, here's the thing.
Wait, Keegan and Diego, hold on. Don't let Rabbi fuck with your brain because this is his ESL room. So fuck him. He's an idiot.
Wait. Let me just say something. Do you realize
This is
the type of
ESL
people
room.
that
He's a
get
fucking
job
idiot.
as police, how fucking retarded they are? They're
fine.
so retarded, dude.
Yeah, that's
They can't be trusted. They're literally like almost pure retards.
Yeah, their goal is just conviction.
Good luck putting me in prison for being someone I'm not. Like, I can easily prove you wrong, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they're gonna fuck with me, they're gonna fuck with me in different ways.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so easy. I told you a million times. I am one of the most screened people in this country.
You sound like a man.
And yet the police came to your door and didn't know who the fuck you are. Isn't that incredible?
Well, no, they thought they insisted that I'm Benjamin Omar.
Yeah, and if you're screened from
just a co-worker. He's just a
how did they not know?
No, because what I'm saying is in the future, like the future step, if the police officer is that nefarious, I can easily prove that I'm not fucking Benjamin Omar, dude. Easily. Like in less than 2 minutes, I can come to you with more than like 10 I can come to you with 10 different organizations that would swear that I'm not Benjamin Omar.
Yeah, but the question is it admissible in court?
Of course
you don't know. You're not a lawyer. You don't know that.
Yeah, I do know that there's a government agency.
Worst anarchist ever.
There's a million government documents on me proving that I am one.
Yes, but will the jury see it? And if they don't see it, you're still fucked. You're still Benjamin Omar.
If I was a jury, I would
That's
make
how
sure.
it works, man. Do you understand the screening immigrants go through? Like, the government has on me much more than they have on the Canadian.
Amazing.
Yet somehow they didn't have no.
Yeah, I love that you think this is like a complaint room and anybody gives a fuck about what actually happens to you. Like, I'd be happy to see your ass back in Jordan. I can give two shits what happens to you. Two shits what happens to you.
Nigga, I'm not even saying that. They came to my place. That's it. I'm not even complaining. I think it's funny that they think I'm a black guy called Benjamin Omar. But I do think that it's the bank. I do believe it's the bank that's trying to fuck with me.
Is your smoke alarm chirping?
No, but I'm suing the bank, and I think they're trying to.
I actually had a knock like that one time, and they were they could not tell me who they were looking for, but there were a bunch of them outside the door. I said, "Who are you looking for?" And they said, "Just open the door." I was like, "Yeah, but who are you looking for?" And then they just left. I was like, "Do you have a warrant, or what are you trying to do?" They were in plain clothes too.
Guess every time I've been interacted,
I'm having trouble with this conversation because I'm not a criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's hard for me to understand.
Never interacted with the police in this type of fashion.
Have you ever interacted with the police, Zach?
Yes, several times.
When
you're not a criminal.
Neighbors.
Well, I mean, yeah, I called the police several times and they have helped me.
Okay. Because you're not.
Peruse their services.
Did they help you or did they file a report?
Well, here's what I'm trying to say.
No, they helped me, actually.
Zach, TD Bank called the police and they helped TD Bank go and see Randy's face to make sure he lived there.
No, there's a friend who sent me a message now saying.
Oh, were they wearing a body cam? Maybe they needed to collect your face.
Maybe if you were like robbing the bank or committing some other sort of fraudulent criminal activity, trying to manipulate or otherwise extort the
Benjamin
bank.
Omar is basically a notorious.
The bank has never called the cops on me. I've gone to the bank a lot of times. I go to the bank every day. Not every day, but I go to the bank sometimes.
It's very Jewish of you if you went every day.
Every day. Jews have money. We need to get
Randy, what do you
Damn, Randy, you got, bitch. Bye-bye.
It sounds like you guys are kind of like some degenerate criminals.
It sounds to me like Dickerson and Diego both have the same problem. But Diego, are you getting sentenced? Like, what's going on with your Alvin Bragg situation?
No, dude. I am innocent, just like Randy. I just disagree about talking to the cops. I would never talk to the cops. I mean, I have never done anything wrong.
Yeah, okay, but there's a big difference here because they think I'm someone I'm not. That's all it is.
They thought I was someone I'm not. It's happened to me. It's happened to Zach. Look, oh no, Zach called them. Never mind.
My friend was at a park and was cornered by people because there was a kidnapping and she fit the description of the nanny that like stole the baby, and like so she was just like at the park and like all of a sudden these people like cornered her and like everything, but like she didn't do it.
I didn't know for a kid, motherfucker.
Listen, one time my friend shat in this girl's locker in junior high, and so the principal calls me into the office and she says, "John, we know that you did this. We know that you put excrement in this girl's locker." And I burst out. I burst out laughing, and I said, "You think that I would waste my time shitting in somebody's locker?" And I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, "It wasn't me. You're gonna have to keep investigating." And she's like, "But then we know that you know who did it." I was like, "How do you know that I know who did it? Who would shit in somebody's locker?" I was like, "I don't know what to tell you, but I got nothing else to tell you." And it turns out it was my Jewish friend Jordan who shat in her locker.
He did it to himself.
I did know that it was him because he called me like that afternoon. He's like, "You won't believe what we just did." I was like, "What did you do?" He's like, "We took this girl's stuff, put it in a bag, shat in the bag, mixed it all up, and put the shitty stuff back in her locker." I was like, "What? You did what? Why would you do that?"
Were you like, I can't tell you who it is, but that shit is kosher?
Yeah, I didn't rat him out. I kept my mouth shut. But he got busted a couple days later, so he got suspended from school. I told my dad, I didn't tell him about the shit story, but I said, "Dad, will you call me out of school so we can go to the Cubs game?" He goes, "Sure, son." I said, "Can Jordan come?" He said, "Sure, son." So we brought my friend Jordan, who shat in this girl's locker. We went to the Cubs game when he got suspended.
Birds of a feather.
Were you a mastermind behind it?
No, I wasn't. I would have no desire to shit in somebody's locker, but
But did you have the desire to like get the guy to do it and then like?
No, this was like an unexpected, disgusting thing that my friend happened to do because he was, having a mental health problem, probably. Who the fuck knows?
I don't believe in mental health problems.
I'm just saying he was being stupid.
Motherfucker, you believe that when once accused of being someone by the police, you shouldn't even tell them that you're not that someone. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter what you believe.
No, stupid. You say you got.
Stories of people that have.
You say, "Officer, I'm very sorry, but you have the wrong person, and I decline to speak with you any further. And I wish you have a great day. Take care. God bless." That's it. And then you close your fucking door. You come back on Clown House, and then you come on here and you complain that the cops are trying to fuck me for something.
Motherfucker, I would rather prove to him I'm not that person so that he doesn't come back to me next time. I'm not that guy. This guy has never been here. I can prove that to you. And you can actually, if anything, you should talk to the building. I am not Benjamin Omar, nigga.
Helping the cop makes you the worst anarchist ever.
I don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
They can do whatever they want. I don't break the law. I don't care.
Fuck anarchy. That shit is retarded.
Fuck you, fucking faggot.
You're not an attorney.
It's all just pretend, though, Randy.
See, Rabbi, we're not the people here with anxiety over your police problem. That's a you problem. And we don't think you're dealing with it properly because we think you're a fucking moron and you haven't even seen the YouTube video that says don't talk to police, stupid.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
Then what the fuck do you keep going on and on about?
Not this fucking nigger.
I love how much stress and anxiety you have, and you're here you're even raising your levels of stress and anxiety. I love it. I love seeing you in distress. I don't know, is that a me problem?
I don't know, it's just boring. Man, you give me fucking, not only diarrhea, you give me the sleeps. That's right. Sure.
Well, it is very depressing knowing you're gonna get fucking deported. I don't know what to tell you. It sucks, but sorry to hear the bad
It's
news.
2025. Nobody gets in trouble for anything. You have to really do something bad.
I cannot be deported. I'm at the situation right
Diego, you're going to jail. Have you gone to like a jail consulting service yet to find out how to keep your ass dick free?
Dude, I'm not Omar Benjamin either.
Benjamin Omar.
I mean, when is your sentencing? Because the bullshit we read about Alvin Bragg doesn't say anything about your sentencing. Like, when are you getting sentenced?
Sentencing? What did I do? First you gotta prove I committed a crime. I'm like,
Listen, just mod me, dummy, and I'll pin the link and explain it.
No, you're not like you're definitely not like me.
Whoever it is of a link that you're gonna post, I'm just gonna say I'm not that person.
Who would have thought that Bitcoin machines and fucking laundromats?
I'm not that person.
It's kind of funny that you were like doing money. It's amazing that you were doing money laundering in a laundromat. It's genius.
I'm not that guy.
Nobody cares about your story anymore, Rabbi. We've moved on to Diego. Just shut the fuck up. Who would put a Bitcoin machine in a laundromat to launder money? It's genius, Diego. Genius. I think you're an entrepreneur, but Alvin Bragg is the piece of shit. I'm on your side on this one.
Well, I appreciate that you're on the side of whoever it is you are confusing me with. But I'm not that guy. Just like Randy's not Benjamin Omar.
Well, when you disappear from Clown House for 2 years, we'll know that you were that fucking guy.
I'm not Benjamin Omar.
You wish such a bad thing on me, man.
It's not me that's wishing for that. It's what I've read. If you can't defend what I've read, I don't give a fuck what you got to say.
I've read books written by Joseph Goebbels that say all kinds of things about you.
Can you kick this
Kick this thing! Kick it!
Punish him! Silence him! Reject him! Exile him!
I love how like he thinks if he gets the kick, like his dopamine is fulfilled, but it just proves you're a loser and stupid.
Silence him! Okay, I'll move him down to the audience.
Benjamin Omar, and I'm claiming that I'm not. When in reality,
I know, and I'm not claiming I'm not whoever John's talking about, but
it doesn't
he
matter
doesn't
what
believe me.
John is in
The cops don't believe you.
Hi, Issa. I'm roasting them.
The cops don't believe you, and John doesn't believe me. So we're in the same position. We're the same.
Randy, let's say for a second that this venture.
Oh look, it's your former beau, Tomas.
Start using your address, like now, like you're like attached to this.
No, I'm not.
They're all retarded.
I can't even prove that that's that's what I.
Or you have to spend like a bunch of legal fees, like.
No, I don't. Why do you think I have to?
Oh,
spend
Abby
a bunch of
Eva
legal
is here
fees?
too. The whole crew has
Well,
arrived.
they could easily turn out that way, where they like pin you to this.
All I can is what I get to do is for free.
It does feel like that.
I can request 1 million documents for free, and that can prove that I'm not that guy. So like,
A million documents. Could you imagine getting access to 1 million documents to prove you're not that guy? Maybe you just need one fucking document, like your driver's license or your birth certificate.
Whether that person in
John thinks that's how it works.
I don't even see. As I told you, it seems like Benjamin Omar told them that he lives here. So he is the one who sent them here. It seems.
Let me ask you a question here.
He's fucked.
Suppose
He is
you
fucked.
got your Canadian citizenship, and your Canadian citizenship had a particular name on it. That is not the same as your Jordanian citizenship.
I can do that if I want.
Okay, so then you could be prosecuted under one name, but live under another, and act like nothing happened.
Well, then you just fly out on your Jordanian passport.
My legal name is my legal name. No, I can choose a nickname, which is basically what I go by. That can happen, but my legal name is still my legal name. Or unless I change my legal name, but that's like an entire process. Which, why would I do that? I don't need to do that. I can have a nickname.
That's why.
Yeah. I don't see. My nickname is gonna be Tomas. But you see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Like again, I can get you 1 million documents, like my birth certificate. I can get you 1 million things from Jordan, 1 million things from. I can get you the police documents from Lebanon, which I had to get. By the way, the Canadian government has everything on me from Lebanon and Jordan.
and from the Lebanese police and the Jordanian police, and from the Jordanian embassy and the driver's license from Jordan, and all of that shit. Like, aside from what they have on me here, they have all of that. How do you get, nigga, see, that's the thing. How do you think immigrants get screened? Do you think immigrants don't get screened? Do you think, like, they just let us in? Or, like, how do you think it goes?
I can tell you they just let it in.
No.
You should find out about how my family came to America.
Dude, we are screened like fuck.
That's not my experience.
That's the Mexicans.
Dude, they know every single place I was at for the past, like, ever since I was 18. They know every single thing. Otherwise, they won't let me in. This is part of the immigration process. We're not gonna accept it.
Hey, if you're gonna take it up the ass that much, why didn't you just go to America and do it there, where it's the payout at least is more worth it?
I'm not taking it up the ass. I don't mind them knowing this thing.
Ah, you like it. Well, you're not a good candidate to be an American then. We don't like that kind of stuff here.
Why the fuck would I care if they know which city I used to live in? Why would I care? Like, why would I not want? Why would I want them not to know which country I come from, for example?
Privacy?
Yeah, but okay, but are they invading my privacy? I mean, they're just verifying that I am who I say I am, which is totally understandable. Why would I not show?
If not, why would I say
I
that?
got a birth certificate, so I'm gonna be a Canadian citizen, but they don't even have my birth certificate. Is that reasonable? Of course not. I'm gonna give them my birth certificate, so that they know I am who I say I am, and my parents are who I claim they are, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the problem?
Yeah. Exactly.
Then basically in your private application,
it's like me, for example, right? You know, I'm a Hispanic. I got a Hispanic name.
You're not a Hispanic.
I chose to take on a legal, a fictional name. It's a very common name, and now John thinks I'm some other person. You know?
Yeah, but no one cares.
Imagine if I chose Benjamin Omar, then I'd be screwed.
Yeah, but no one cares what John thinks. The police can't go after me if they themselves can prove that I am not the guy that they're looking for. I can even give you a blood sample so that you can know that I am not that guy.
Yeah, I don't trust blood samples, but yeah, I get you.
Regardless, they know who I am.
This is hilarious. I told you, Robert Taylor isn't his fucking name.
Omar, or it's someone claiming to be him, or someone sent them to this
It was
place
good.
where they
We'll
think
see.
he is in this
Yeah,
place.
I mean, I got it. I did. I was like, I told my friends, I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I told her, like, I'm canceling the date because she mentioned Drake in her
You
profile?
just need to assign that to somebody and convict them.
She's like, did you screenshot and send it to your friends? She calls her dog Drizzy, because I guess that's like Drake's nickname or
So
something.
maybe they think I am someone who steals bikes. I mean, I don't know. Obviously.
That's exactly what they think.
He black. Right, so then you're gonna have to prove that. Do you want to see my bank? Do you want to see my banking info? To see the movement of money?
Dude, I don't have to prove anything. I just have to charge you. And a jury of 12 idiotic Canadian immigrants are going to just find you guilty because they'll believe whatever they tell them.
That's right. That's how it works, though.
It is how it works. I'm telling you, that's how it works.
The fuck it works. Randy, I could have.
Yeah,
Randy, I could have.
That's how it works. I 100% believe they can't try me for being someone I'm not. Like, that's just not how it works.
Randy, I could have a letter of intent from Danny saying she'll eat my asshole, but it doesn't mean
I'm gonna sue you for being Osama bin Laden. Like, how does that work? You think, and the jury will find you guilty? Like, is that what you guys actually believe? You're retarded.
Wait, who just said that?
No, but there's been new evidence that Osama was innocent, and there was actually Rico that did 9/11.
I don't do that. You guys have no time.
Listen, Diego, I love how you legally changed your name to Robert Taylor. It's fucking genius. Because I have actually created a fake identity called Robert Taylor because it's such a generic fucking name.
See, there you go. So you're the guy in that fucking whatever the hell you're talking about.
No, I assure you, I'm not the guy that put Bitcoin machines into a laundromat to launder money.
That's crazy. Why would someone do so? It sounds like a troll, honestly. Why would someone do
Pretty
such
smart.
a crazy thing like that?
Honest to God, it sounds like something I would have done.
I mean, it's a compliment
But I'm not smart enough. I was actually selling Frito-Lays and sodas, not fucking, cash.
Oh,
Very smart of you.
That's not smart. That's not smart.
I agree. It's
Frito-Lay's
back-breaking
never gonna
work.
make you a buck.
Back-breaking work.
Yes, because a bag of Frito-Lays is about 20 pounds.
I wonder how many cases of diabetes you cause.
I just love.
Does that mean I'm laundering money because I have Bitcoin?
I just love how this.
Exactly, that's exactly what it means.
This is the thing.
It feels like someone's stealing money from me. Bitcoin's imploding.
See, this is the greatest thing about the dumbest people on this app, that they actually have major legal problems ahead of them, and thus they're the really dumbest people here. But yet they profess to know everything. It's unbelievable how the stupid people are the ones who are in big trouble, and they claim they're the smartest people here, that they know everything, like Rabbi and
They
Diego.
might even lose their rental property.
What are you talking about? I'm the one who...
Imagine losing your hair.
No, I am team everyone in this room. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna fix all our problems. He's not gonna lose his rental property. Okay, let's just speak great things and manifest and use the power of the Tanya and the Tao and whatever else you guys do.
Oh, how nice.
Oh, that's positive vibrations. Maybe they can remember that when they're both in jail.
Say something like, I'm the Jew and I'm here to help.
Listen, when I'm watching the sunset, drinking a beer.
And I'm here to help.
Listen, when you guys go to jail, you'll both still have cell phones. You'll both be on Clubhouse in jail. It'll be so fucking awesome.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Maybe I'll run into you sometime when you get out of jail at a gas station.
Last like 9 months.
Y'all niggas jail?
I don't think you get how it works, John. Did you tell Alec Baldwin he was going to jail too?
Listen, I wish well for you, but I saw, your problems, and I just hope things end up well for you. But not for Rabbi. He can go fuck himself.
No problems. No problems. You've got the problems. No problems here.
Go ahead and deflect and fucking opine and project. I don't give a fuck. Enjoy your legal problems.
Do you understand that I'm looking for that trouble? It's not like it's coming to me.
Listen, you dumb fuck. You're a fucking moron, and you've got big problems ahead of you.
I don't. Like the worst thing to me is I lose $5,000 because I lose the lawsuit. That's basically it.
$5,000? We're wasting all this fucking time over $5,000? I thought you were a fucking big shot, stupid.
How much do you think John lost over buying all those Doritos?
I would have sued them for $500,000.
There you go. That's 5,000. Wait, they took $5,000. That's it. They didn't say how about we
Good
just take a
luck.
percentage?
Good luck convincing a jury in a fucking court, you idiot. You can't even convince a bunch of fucking losers on Clown House that your story is worthwhile.
I have to pay the lawsuit fees, and that's basically it.
Listen, you dumb fuck. You're wasting our time and your time. You're a moron.
You can't punish me for suing you. I have the legal right to.
It's not a bad ROI, Randy, but I would have expected more from you.
I was thinking 1 million, but I think that's too much because it literally costs me money. The bank just.
Listen, you're a delusional fucking moron wasting our time talking about nothing. Just go ahead and kick me, because I can't stand listening to this stupid shit anymore.
Alright. Look.
Just sue him, Randy. Put him at him.
We did it, boys and girls. Another satisfied customer. Another super satisfied customer.
For some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country. Please, you saying that if you will speak.
You can't buy a house with a bank account. Countries, though.
You know that's
right.
You're broke. You should get a quadplex.
Well, if they, okay, you know what? Maybe I could. If they pay me $500K, I would be able to do that.
Interest rates are coming down. You might be able to.
What is the next one? A sixplex?
I don't know. I just want positive cash flow.
Well, that's right.
Good luck.
If I'm still getting raped by Bitcoin, let's see.
So,
positive
400 to 500K.
Oh my God!
Get my tenants to pay that, and I have a positive cash flow. You know.
I've lost $400 the last 2 days in Bitcoin.
No conservative's gonna broke.
I'm broke.
No, dude, I lost more than 10K, man. But, you know.
I can now calculate the amount of Bitcoin you have, motherfucker.
I told you I lost more than 10K.
Hey, you opened your mouth. You took the bait. Just like the fish on the wall.
See, the trick here is to never even count how much you got. Then you can never lose.
That's right.
Just keep stacking, gentlemen. And don't choose generic names, or else you'll be confused with other people. Benjamin Omar. I mean, Muhammad would have been worse, but imagine being named. Dude, imagine getting on the no-fly list. Muhammad, dude.
I wonder though, maybe it is the bank's ready. It's like all about the Benjamins, and they know that your name is something like Omar.
Yeah, what if it's Benjamin
and something?
Benjamin M. Omar is DMO, Bank of Montreal.
Oh shit!
That's what you put on. Don't quit your day job, Randy. You know, it sounds like you're trying to be an attorney now, Randy.
Well, that's a good idea.
Randy, are you eating chicken? Because you sound like a nigger right now.
I don't know why you think I'm literally just that's the second time I sue someone, but because they actually, I think I have them.
Yeah, in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Second time in 3 months. Oh, well, hey. It's second time in 3 months.
For it. It's just because the fact that they.
You just said that trouble doesn't find you. You go looking for it. Did you not just say that?
No, I did not say that. I'm saying that I was able to detect that they're breaking their own commitments. So based on that, I can sue them and make money out of them. So that then.
Yeah, I get it. We get it.
Exactly.
But you said you're not in trouble. That you're suing people. So you're going looking for the trouble. It doesn't find you.
Yeah. Yeah. I could have just let it go and not sue them. But why would I do that? I want my money.
It ain't your money, nigga. It's your privacy. Yeah.
Not just my privacy. They're violating the privacy of every single customer. This is. I can turn it into a class action lawsuit. I would rather not, because I want to make more money. If it's a class action lawsuit, I will make less money, and I won't be able to control how things go. What if people want to settle?
Yeah, and then you won't be able to get your triplex.
Correct. I don't care if the problem is fixed. I can just go to another bank. I'm trying to make money. And I'm documenting everything. When they ask me what I would like, I put just respect your privacy commitments. That's it. I don't want compensation or anything. In court, I will use that against them.
Are we already planning on going to trial here?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because then I'm going to ask for financial compensation. Now, it wouldn't make sense to make them just follow their commitments. Okay, but that ship has sailed. Now they need to be punished financially since I came to court because of the ship.
And you think the jury will do this for you?
Yes, because I'm a guy taking on a big bank on my own.
So it was funny. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes, and even the police was laughing at the debate. It was so chill.
Yeah. Hello.
איפה ראתה אותו? יש לו שם תמונה אחרת, כאילו מכירה אותו מזמן?
It was the leading classes of society. You had to have that accolade in order to be a leader, right? But most people didn't go to college back then. The laborers, they didn't need a degree to go work in a mine or a factory or
to Ukraine. I don't know if you guys had that in the U.S.
Yeah, we saw it.
Civilians that were buying things for people in Ukraine. So these things were donated as gifts to the Ukrainian people to go fight.
You can do anything and go to college. Like I always bring up gender studies. That was never a thing in school. Gender studies, gender fluidity. You know that you can get a degree in that now.
I'm gonna fucking persuade for it.
Man, you're very confident for a person who's never gonna try.
I know for a fact I'm gonna fuck him.
I like the optimism.
Maybe that's why they're sending people to my place.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, dude. What makes more sense for them? $1 million? For your life?
Not $1 million. I think
value your life.
I think $1 million is too much. I'm gonna ask for $500,000. Punitive damages. And I'm also using Trump, by the way, because Canadian banks can operate in the U.S. American banks can't operate in Canada. So part of Trump's negotiation is to allow American banks in Canada. So the last thing we need is corrupt banks that don't respect their own commitments. They need to be punished so that the other banks don't do the same things.
NATO flew a sortie that went from, I want to say, not. So put the guns down. Do you agree?
God has given them the right to resist.
God has not given them jack shit. And if they
Hashem
pick
has
the,
given them right to resist.
well, I'm sorry then. If you pick the guns up, then you're going to get our response. The war's not over. Okay.
Hashem wants them to resist.
Hashem?
Yasham, how do you say your
Well, it sounds like you want war. If you're going to have guns, if you have guns, then you don't want peace.
Hashem wants to resist. He wants them to resist against the Zionist entity.
Okay. If you do that, then we have a war on our hands.
According to international law, they can resist, but you can't come back and attack them back.
Of course you can. It's not one-sided.
It's not your land.
Oh,
You're
yeah, it's our
occupying
land.
their land.
It's definitely not your land.
It's definitely my land.
I'm sorry, it's not. I don't accept
Yes,
your
it is.
claim. Well, then I guess
Yes,
we have a little bit of a disagreement, don't we?
Mary, you asked a question about why is Israel stalling. I think they're stalling because they want the hostages back.
You're asking a Palestinian why Israel is stalling, or you're asking a Jew?
No, Amir asked the question.
To me, yeah.
1 year ago, our demands were ignored. Requests for
שלום, זה להעיף את כולם מגוש קטיף. אתה מבין?
אני אשאל אותך, אני אגיד לך, אני מבין מה לינדה אומרת.
It was a bunch of Americans who moved out there because they have those cheap houses, right? $50,000 for an apartment. And like Brad says, you fucked around and don't pay the tax, right? They take that shit from you. You fucked around, you don't renew your but it's not.
My favorite posts are the Instagram posts where there's someone who does this really well, and he goes,
Instagram versus reality, and he shows the reality. Maybe it's a woman, I don't really know, but they show the reality behind it. So a lot of these places that people are like, you got the girl looking at Paris, and she's got the Eiffel Tower, she's drinking at a cafe, and she's sipping on a coffee.